Good morning. Thank you for making time. You're watching Good Morning Kenya right here on KBC Channel 1, and I'm Regina Manyara. It is indeed the 27th of July 2022, exactly 12 days to the August 9th polls. And yesterday, Kenyans were treated to the presidential debate, the last episode, so to speak, where Kenya Kwanza, a presidential candidate Ruto, there found himself hard-pressed to explain matters of the cost of living. At the same time, we had presidential candidate David Mwaura there explaining his manifesto and why now, this being the sixth time that he's going to be running for elective office, it might be his Mandela moment. We're going to be recapping that as we look at those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours, and we invite your feedback. What is your take home from the presidential debate, where now we already know that, Raila was a no-show, while Professor Wajakoya actually appeared at the choir, or rather at the venue, but later left after the organizers failed to meet his demands. Get tweeting. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 and mine is at Ray Manyara. Thank you very much for your time. Remember, our website is active and you can log in to further read on what has been happening, not only locally but regionally as well as on the global front. www.kbc.co.ke. Now let's start off with those stories that have been making headlines. And President Uhuru Kenyatta has told politicians not to politicize the Naivasha Special Economic Zone that has the potential of creating decent jobs for thousands of Kenyan youths. The president, who was in a tour of Naivasha, Nakuru County, said it was unfortunate that some leaders have resorted to engaging in politics of deceit to gain political mileage at the expense of the welfare of the people of Kenya and the development of the nation.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, who presided over the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of 6 factories at the Naivasha Special Economic Zone, defended the setting up of the project, the inland container depot and the standard gauge railway extension to Naivasha, which he said was informed by the need to attract investors who previously would not venture into places that lacked infrastructure.
Tulilete hiyo reli ndio tuwezeshe wawekezaji ambao zamani hawangekuja.
The head of state said such projects attract investors whose ventures will create jobs for Kenyans, and termed as unfortunate lies being peddled about the projects.
Si sasa tuko na wawekezaji, si kazi imepatikana. Hakuna kitu kibaya kama siasa ya udanganyifu. Alright? Kiongozi mzima anasimama anasema, angalia hawa wamepeleka reli Naivasha, wamengoa poti, bandari imehamishwa Mombasa.
During the tour, President Kenyatta presided over the groundbreaking ceremony for 6 factories owned by the Turkish Industry Holdings, which he said will usher in a new era of enhanced contribution to the country's industrialization agenda.
We have done this to provide speedy, unencumbered freight of raw materials into the industrial park, and thereafter fast shipment to our seaport in Mombasa, in Lamu, for the finished products that are destined to the international markets.
Among the products that will be produced by the 6 factories include ceramic and granite tiles, sanitary towels, toilet paper and towel napkins, as well as iron and aluminium products. Earlier, the head of state commissioned the 172 megawatts Olkaria 5 and 86 megawatts Olkaria 1 as additional geothermal power plants in Naivasha. The standard gauge railway passenger rail link at the Maimahiu station will ensure seamless connectivity between the SGR and meter gauge railway, Naivasha Inland Container Depot and the Suswa Water Project that will serve the Naivasha Industrial Park.
Indeed, that is what was happening at Nakuru County there. Remember, this is some of the projects and initiatives that the government has been undertaken to just open up the country to foreign direct investments. Now, a family in Kisauni, Mombasa County is mourning the loss of 2 of their kin who perished in Sunday's bus incident at the Nithi Bridge. Edward Mutiga and his wife Ruth Gaki say they have been planning their wedding, which was set for today, being the 27th of July, and instead they're now making burial arrangements for their mother who perished in the accident. Kamche Menza with the details.
Edward Mutiga and his family are still coming to terms with the sudden demise of their loved ones. Edward and his wife lost their mothers to the deadly plunge of a bus in Nithi River on Sunday. They have been together for 12 years, all of which Edward says his mother had repeatedly called on them to join in holy matrimony.
The journey ended in Nithi Bridge, where the accident took place, and I lost my mom and my mother-in-law, and also on board the vehicle there was my brother-in-law who was accompanying them, but he is in stable condition. He got some injuries, but now he's responding well.
All was set, and Wednesday was supposed to be the big day, but as fate would have it, joy has turned into grief.
Told me that I have always wanted you to end in church. I've never been happy because you no longer receive Eucharist. You are just staying together. But the day you officiate your marriage in church before God, I'll be the happiest.
We have called off our event for tomorrow, so it cannot take place now. We have shifted to planning for the burial.
His mother had called him at 6 a.m. on the fateful day, saying she was elated by the wedding plans and asked them to pray for her as she embarked on the long journey to Mombasa. Ruth Gaki says she is distraught and saddened by the painful loss of her mother and mother-in-law.
Just leave everything to him. We hope that because we will use the same route to travel for burial, we just hope. We have questioned him, yes, but we hope because of his mercy, he will just give us safe journey mercies to go and bury our parents. I had a lot of expectations. I wanted to be beautiful that day. You can see my hair. I was preparing to go to the salon today.
Ruth and her husband say information about the accident still remains fluid and nothing much is coming from the bus company. What was supposed to be a joyous week has turned into grief for Edward and Ruth. Their wedding plans have now been turned into burial arrangements for two of their closest family members.
Now that is quite sad, and that a particular incident has drawn a lot of questions in regard to how our buses are actually put together. And this is a question about, the quality of fabrication of the buses and vans. We also, the footage from the ill-fated accident that took place, that is Nithi there. And questions are coming about is that can we have a better cabin design and reinforcement on these buses, and could it have saved lives? This is an ongoing conversation with various stakeholders chiming into that particular discussion following a series of accidents, not just the Nithi accident there, where now instead of planning to have a wedding there and solemnizing a 12-year relationship, that particular family down in Mombasa County is actually making burial preparations. May the souls of the departed, who are 34, given the current update, continue resting in peace, and our condolences to the families. Now to the political campaigns is that the United Democratic Alliance presidential running mate, Rigathi Gachagua, has called on voters in Narok County to elect William Ruto as the president next month to help stimulate the country's economy. Separately, ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, while popularizing Ruto's agenda in his backyard, Vihiga County, cautioned Western Kenya region against voting Azimio la Umoja candidates.
Deputy President William Ruto took a day off from the campaigns to prepare for the presidential debate, but dispatched his running mate Rigathi Gachagua to Narok and Musalia Mudavadi to Vihiga to hunt for votes. Speaking in Majengo area of Narok, Gachagua said Kenya Kwanza Alliance will dignify small-scale businesses by offering a 50 billion shilling hustler fund that will be accessed interest-free.
Tupatia senator huyu wanatudai mzee hekima amechunga kila mtu aunganishe jamii, amelete maendeleo Narok, aingie asiingie. Kura yote ya Narok na rais wa nchi ya Kenya atakuwa William Samoei Ruto.
Accompanied by UDA candidates from Narok County, the Kenya Kwanza team rallied the Ma community to turn up on the 9th of August and vote for William Ruto.
Kwa kiti ya gavana, kwa kiti ya seneta, na kwa kiti ya kinamama na wabunge na MCA na vitu zote, sisi tutaenda kushinda kwa hiyo viti.
In Vihiga County, ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi was also selling the William Ruto's candidacy by warning the Luhya community against voting for candidates allied to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Kwa hivyo mimi nimekuja hapa kuwasihi tusimame imara, tarehe 9 tupeane kura ya kwanza kwa President William Samoei Ruto.
The Kenya Kwanza top brass is expected to campaign in Murang'a County on Wednesday.
And we will be giving you the diary in the course of this particular program for the various political campaigns that are taking place in the country with just 12 days to the August polls. Now, still on the campaign trail, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance leader Raila Odinga has pledged to negotiate for the reopening of Miraa markets beyond East Africa if he is elected president. Raila was speaking during his coronation as an elder by the Njuri Ncheke elders in Meru before addressing a series of meetings in the county.
At the Nchiru Shrine in Meru County, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party flag bearer was the chief guest in a solemn ceremony meant to install him as an elder. The biggest show of trust, according to the Meru community traditions, previously accorded to the late presidents Daniel Moi and Mwai Kibaki and the current president Uhuru Kenyatta.
Hii naye ni ya kubariki amani kwa watu.
Raila assuring the community of furthering their economic agenda by reopening previous and sourcing for new Miraa markets.
Hii biashara ya Miraa itaendelea hata mpaka baada ya Uhuru kutoka, tutafanya mambo yote bila makubaliano na Uhuru. Kwa hivyo hiyo itafanyika.
The Azimio leader also promised to set up a manufacturing industry in the county as part of his one product, one county manufacturing plan, as well as the improvement of agriculture.
Hii kiwanja ya ndege ya Isiolo, ile runway simu ni mrefu sana, imebaki kama nusu kilomita. Ndege kubwa inaweza kutoka hapo moja kwa moja mpaka Mogadishu. Hiyo ni kazi ambayo vile vile itaanzwa mara moja tukiingia katika serikali. Ili hiyo Isiolo iwe international airport ambayo Miraa itakuwa inatoka hapo moja kwa moja hadi Mogadishu, ingine naenda mpaka Dar es Salaam, naenda mpaka kule pande ya Kinshasa na kadhalika.
Nina furaha tunatafuta ukombozi wa tatu wa kiuchumi, tutoe wa Kenya kwa hali ya ufukara. Ninafurahi tumeungana tena zote tukifanya hizo harakati.
Leaders present accusing a section of a political leadership in the Kenya Kwanza Alliance of unfairly targeting the Director of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti.
Kazi ya Njuri Ncheke ni kulinda watoto, ni kulinda akina mama, na kulinda mali ya Wameru. Sasa ile kazi nakupatia siku ya leo, kulinda watoto wa Meru popote wako, ni kulinda akina mama wa Meru pahali wako. Tuna watoto wengi kwa serikali,
na wakati tunaona kiongozi ambaye anataka apigiwe kura na Wameru na Wakenya wote, kila siku ni kutuzi mmoja wetu ambaye anafanya kazi yake kwa Kenya. Umeru akipanda kidogo awe na cheo, anatusiwa na anaambiwa aondoke. Kenya iko moja, kuunganisha wakabila yote ya Wakenya wawe kitu kimoja. Tukifanya hiyo, Kenya inaweza kuendelea kimaendeleo. Tukiunganisha watu wa Kenya tuongea kwa sauti moja. Inaitwa kwa kimombo unity in diversity.
Well, that is what was happening down there in Meru County. And just in case you're wondering, that particular headband or headdress that Peter Munya and Raila Odinga are donning back in the day was made using the hide of a Columbus monkey. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has reassured the country of a credible electoral process days after stickers linked to polling stations in 10 counties were confiscated by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. In a statement, IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati veered off the controversy, asserting instead that the stickers were non-strategic election materials, hence should not be a cause of alarm. The statement came amid calls for the electoral body and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to amicably settle their differences.
Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairperson Wafula Chebukati appears to have chosen to indirectly engage the Directorate of Criminal Investigations over the arrest of 3 Venezuelans and the confiscation of some election materials. Without mentioning the DCI, Chebukati said the stickers were printed based on the details of the Gazette notice published on 1st July 2022. In his statement, the Director of Criminal Investigation accused Chebukati of failing to address issues raised by police when the 3 foreigners were arrested with election materials at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The police had raised queries on why such vital components of a national electoral process can be ferried under such circumstance. The DCI had also accused the IEBC and its chairperson of inconsistencies in explaining the roles of the 3 foreign nationals. Chebukati has however said the arrested Venezuelans were employees of Smartmatic Holding Limited, the company contracted in 2021 to provide technological support in the August elections. The ongoing exchange between IEBC and investigative agencies has been castigated by a section of Kenyans who have challenged the electoral body to build public confidence ahead of the much anticipated polls.
The youth have been warned against.
Now, while that is underway, a section of members of the Orange Democratic Movement in Mombasa County has called for peace during the elections and after the elections, led by ODM Mombasa Branch Chairman Mohamed Hamisi. They appealed to their competitors and politicians to base their campaigns on policies and not name-calling.
Shakir Awar, a Pakistan national, suspects foul play in the death of his brother, businessman Anverani Nazirani. Through his lawyer, Michael Olo, he says only an autopsy will establish the real cause of death.
The truth of the matter is, this application is proper before you.
For that mix-up there, indeed, those were not calls for peace, but instead we were just giving you a sneak peek onto what to expect from the corridors of justice. But now we have already queued up what has been happening in the political scene. Well, here's the story in detail.
Against falling prey to divisive politics. Speaking in Mombasa, a section of politicians allied to the Orange Democratic Movement said that some of their colleagues had formed the habit of using young Kenyans to cause chaos.
Huu ni msimu ambao hivi sasa hivi utamalizika. Kwa hivyo tunawaomba, tunawasihi wana Mombasa, tufanyeni kampeni sote kama ndugu moja, na tujue sote baada ya uchaguzi tutakuwa na maisha ya kuendelea kama wakazi wa Mombasa.
Sisi kama Azimio tuko imara, ile kura tutailinda. Lakini wewe kama kijana, twakuomba utakapopiga ile kura urudi nyumbani utulie.
They urge voters in the region to elect candidates vying on ODM tickets.
Wanatoka kuhimiza kupigia kura presidential candidate wetu wa Azimio, Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, na huku chini tuna kampenia chama chetu kama cha ODM ndani ya Azimio. Kwa hivyo tunahimiza watu wajitokeze wapige 6 piece huku chini.
Meanwhile, a section of religious leaders from the Lower Nyanza region are set to hold an interdenominational prayer meeting for the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga ahead of the general polls.
Result of our deep commitment as clergy to have a successful outcome of the campaigns leading to the presidency of our beloved son, His Excellency Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, we hereby inform the entire church leaders in Lower Nyanza, and by this request them to join His Excellency Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for prayers and wholesome spiritual support on the 4th of August 2022.
The prayer meeting will bring together all religious players from the entire Lower Nyanza region. The men of the cloth are at the same time appealing for peaceful coexistence among Kenyans as the country gears up for the August 9th vote.
With that, now let's speak matters business and look at what has been happening down in Nakuru County, focusing on the Naivasha Special Economic Zone that is inching closer to reality, with more than 100 investors planning to set up their base at the park. Some of the planned investments include textile and apparel, granite, manufacturing and vehicle assembly lines. A number of infrastructural projects have already been concluded, including a 1 billion shilling water purification system, electrification of the park, and the development of the inland container depot, which has turned the Mai Mahiu into a logistical hub within the Rift Valley region.
Turning into a major logistical hub following the completion of a number of projects, including the standard gauge railway, power lines from the Olkaria geothermal power plant, and roads, among others. The Special Economic Zone has already attracted the eye of both local and international investors, with more than 100 companies planning to set up their base in their 1,000 acres of the industrial park. Among the major investors include Osirian Two Lakes Industrial Park, which is a 150-hectare sustainable industrial development on the southern banks of Lake Naivasha. Other companies include textiles and apparel, agri-processing, light industrial and logistics services. To accommodate the increased demand, the industrial park will also expand its core infrastructure, water storage capacity, and cheap and reliable renewable energy from existing solar and geothermal power plants. A multi-million shillings water purification system has been completed, which is expected to supply water to the industrial park and the surrounding areas. A granite manufacturing company is planning to launch its operations later this week. The government is urging investors to take advantage of the preferential tax terms on offer at the special economic zones to set up their operations in the park.
That was indeed a strategic investment there in regard to the Special Economic Zone that is Naivasha there, and that is also targeting foreign direct investment. And yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta was on a tour of the facility there, where some Turkish investors are ready to hit the road in as far as matters investments are concerned. We'll be keeping tabs on the developments of the Naivasha Special Economic Zone. But now, still keeping up with matters business is that more than 15,000 households in the counties of Taita Taveta, Nyandarua and Nyeri are set to benefit from a climate-smart technology involving provision of clean cooking solutions and biofertilizer. This is under the government initiative supported by the World Bank. Kenya Agriculture, Livestock and Research Organization that has been supporting farmers to utilize biodigesters for clean cooking and soil health improvements.
The World Health Organization reports that the disease burden occasioned by household air pollution results in over 20,000 deaths annually, and that lower respiratory infections account for 53% of all household air pollution-related deaths in Kenya. Now, experts say adverse effects of climate change are worsening as a result of activities brought about in agriculture through emission of greenhouse gases that affects the atmosphere and the ozone layer.
So, climate change, we are causing part of it. But it's also affecting us. It's affecting the farmers. It's affecting agricultural productivity, both in crops and livestock.
Farmers are now being trained to mitigate climate change by applying technologies that use biodigesters as a source of energy and fertilizer.
We can do carbon footprinting for the crops we are doing. Our focus
should be to have the lowest carbon emission. If you use climate smart technologies, you can lower the emission from about 393 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent to around 163 carbon dioxide equivalent.
The farmers who have been trained on biodigesters and bioslurry, a liquid fertilizer used on crops, seek to reduce fuel costs in households by almost half and ensure that food produced is clean and healthy.
Sasa nashukuru nilipata biogas, maana inanisaidia kupika, ikanipunguzia mahitaji ya gharama za kupika, maana sasa hii gas imepanda sana. Gas imepanda sana sasa, si refill gas. Alafu mbolea sinunui fertilizer squeeze, naitumia tu hiyo mbolea.
The project engaged farmer groups in the 3 counties in a training targeting to reduce carbon emissions.
While that was happening is that the women in political space, a report has already been made public that women in the political space and the media are more likely to face online violence than their male counterparts. And as such, research by the Kenya Parliamentary Association says sexist terms and the use of derogatory words are some of the most common forms of harassment targeting women in Kenya. They are working with Google and Twitter through the Heshimu Dada initiative to flag and report online harassment cases in Kenya. Further details are available on our website. Now we cross over to the sporting arena where rally driver Lisa Christopherson and her navigator Pauline Shegu will be the first Kenyan rally team to participate in the United States Rebel Rally, and the duo will be driving a Kenyan-made Mobius car during the event set to be held between the 6th and the 15th of October.
Rally covers a total of 2,500 kilometers of stunning terrain across the Nevada and California desert.
We will be partnering with 2 rally drivers, Pauline and Lisa. We're going to take our Mobius 3 vehicle, recently launched, for a drive, and they will experience what a rugged, durable, and affordable vehicle this is.
Comparable to the famous Paris-Dakar Rally, the Rebel Rally is not a race for speed, but a unique and demanding event based on the elements of headings, hidden checkpoints, time, and a distance using maps, a compass, and a road book.
In a few years' time, we would have a much bigger, much more successful, and a much more known Mobius Kenya racing team.
Lisa and Pauline will be leading the Mobius racing team in a Kenyan-made car.
We would be proudly, as a Kenyan women, all-women's team, to take this car, proudly Kenyan, into the world and invite women as well not to be afraid of 4x4. Come and join us. It's a lot of fun.
Tumeshiriki kwenye mashindano ya 4x4 ya Twala na pia na Nyuki, na sasa tunataka kushiriki na hii 4x4 ya Mobius. Tumekuwa tukitumia Range Rover, sasa tunataka kutumia Mobius.
The participation of the Mobius Kenyan racing team in the Rebel Rally in USA is another opportunity to market Kenya to the world.
The unique proposition provided by Pauline and Lisa is very clear mission of what they want to achieve within rallying. They are speaking for women rallying drivers, which is upcoming, and we really want to support that initiative with what Mobius is doing.
The team is expected to depart and leave the country for Nevada in late September.
All the best to the 2 ladies there. Remember, they were also representing Kenya Broadcasting Corporation in the Machakos rally 2 weeks before. But however, the car that they were driving in developed some technical difficulties. Now, we believe that with this Mobius 3 edition, indeed, that will put Kenya on the map once again in as far as racing is concerned. And most probably, because they're women and such, we'll be waiting to see. Viva Pauline Shegu, who also happens to be a veteran broadcaster and a colleague right here on Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. That puts a cap on Matters News this morning. Find further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. But we are not done and dusted yet, so do keep it right here.
I'd like to officially welcome you to the coolest club in the 254. In other words, this is the best way to wake up every single morning.
Wake me up before you go. Don't leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Wake me up before you go. I don't wanna give again. Kitut FM Gigosin. Kitut FM Gigosin.
98.0 Kitut FM Gigosin.
I don't want Adrian to be involved in my daughter's life again. Never again.
Adrian is the father of Valentina.
For your loyalty to Camilo? Must have you take away my daughter? Must you keep away your daughter from her real
Yes, I know
father?
that.
If it's the office that you went to, then why is your hair all wet?
Adrian is here? Yes, sweetheart. Is that true, Mommy? Yes, my love.
I'm the father of Valentina. But I can't take her away from her mom.
I don't want Adrian to be involved in my daughter's life again. Never again.
Adrian is the father of Valentina.
For your loyalty to Camilo? Must have you take away my daughter? Must you keep away your daughter from
Yes,
her real
I know
father?
that.
If it's the office that you went to, then why is your hair all wet?
Adrian is here? Yes, sweetheart. Is that true, Mommy? Yes, my love.
I'm the father of Valentina. But I can't take her away from her mom.
My lady, are you all right? How did you know her ladyship was living here?
Ladyship?
Right. This is Prince Genova's lady here.
Why would you go to see her? You best not forget. She's carrying the prince's baby.
He almost died while in battle. And he's been working since getting back. He wouldn't notice that.
Almost died?
Good morning. Thank you for still keeping us company right here on Good Morning Kenya. I'm Regina Manyara. Now with just 12 days to the August 9th polls, we just want to do a recap of the last presidential debate that was televised across mainstream media. What you see on your screen is a focus participate in the 2010 gubernatorial elections had they happened, focusing on Nairobi County. Now, let's meet. Other than that, we had Deputy President William Ruto of Kenya Kwanza there trying to explain what is contained in his manifesto. And if I can quote what he had to say yesterday during the particular presidential debate, is that I tried to push for the Big Four agenda, but my boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, told me he wanted to assemble new people to help him deliver. And unfortunately, the plans did not materialize. The real solution to the high cost of living is dealing with the cost of food. That are just some of the take-homes from William Ruto's comments during the presidential debate that was taking place yesterday. Now, Raila Odinga was a no-show as he continued with his campaigns in Meru County there. And when he was talking, or rather in his Meru campaigns there, we saw him coronated as a Meru elder by the Njorin Cheke elders there, saying that this is an endorsement that even President Uhuru Kenyatta had received before other elections therein. And just a fun fact is that if you go to our website and you see the footage that we have uploaded in regard to that particular story, is that the headband that he had on his head, as well as Peter Munya, is traditionally would have been made of a Columbus monkey hide. We do not know if those are still the same artifacts that were used then, but that is quite symbolic, an endorsement by the Njorin Cheke to become a Meru elder. Remember, when you go to the polls, which is just 12 days away, Mount Kenya has been termed as split, and this is a vote-rich hunting ground. Remember, over 22 million Kenyans have registered to participate in these particular polls, and Mount Kenya looks as where everyone is headed up in as far as, you know, garnering the last minute votes if to change the people who are undecided, with the numbers reading at around 6 million Kenyans are still, or 15 million thereabout, are still not decided on where they're going to be casting their vote. The youth carry around 8.2 registered voters. Now let's get to know our guest, who is going to be coming up in not too long, an hour or so, with Safin Achieng, and that is none other than David More of the Agano Party. Well, as you can see from your board there, this is just a sneak peek of his bio profile. In 1981, he graduated from the University of Nairobi with a law degree, and he started More and More Advocates after practicing law for a while. Then he had used his 35 years of legal practice in arbitration, mediation, and as a commission of oaths, among other roles. In 2006, that's when David More actually was part of the formation of the Agano Party. So it is not quite a new party, so to speak. And in October 2010 there, he first expressed his interest for running for the presidency in the 2013 presidential election, rather the general election. However, that did not materialize. He mentioned this in 2010 when the country was going through the change in constitution there. Remember, the promulgation of the constitution took place in 2010, and he made his interest known to run in the 2013 general election. In 2011, however, he unsuccessfully vied for the Kamukunji parliamentary seat, and this was through a by-election after Simon Mbogwa's election was nullified. Now, the High Court had cited irregularities in the 2007 general election, and in 2013, he gave up his presidential ambition and instead contested in the Lamu gubernatorial election, where he lost to Issa Timami. Issa Timami is also going to be eyeing that particular seat in this particular elections 2022, and we'll see how that turns up for him. When we go back to focusing on the data that we have for the various counties, we are going to be focusing on Lamu County. So in 2021, he got endorsed to contest the Nairobi gubernatorial election, and this was occasioned by the impeachment of Mike Mbuvi Sonko. And however, through a turn of events that saw the NMS take office, is that there was no election that was held. Otherwise, would have known if he would have carried the day in 2021 there. And in 2022, he revived his ambition to be elected Kenya's 5th president on the Agano Party ticket. He also picked Ruth Mutua as his running mate. And yesterday, he was present for the presidential debate. And I'd want to quote what he had to say in the presidential debate. And that is, I'm told many Kenyans have already made a decision on whom to vote. Have those you want to vote made a difference in your life? That's a question that David Moore posed to Kenyans yesterday during the presidential debate there, being the last of its kind. And it has been trending since yesterday, and would like even to check what Kenyans had to say on Twitter and other social media platforms in regard to that particular debate. So allow me to just scroll through and see just some of the take-homes of that particular debate. And I'd want to start off with Agano Party there, what he had to say. And this is David More Waiga, the presidential candidate, Agano Party. This is my 6th stab at being elected. One of the people I have followed is Abraham Lincoln. It was during his 13th attempt that he became president of the United States of America. I am here because there's no room for giving up. There's no room for giving up. Further on, what we can also take home from that particular presidential debate, as far as the Agano Party presidential candidate David More Waiga is concerned, is that in 2017, I can tell you, I was rigged out, and it is only that I couldn't get the facts. I had done my bit. I was going to be the senator of Lamu County. This is in reference to his ambition, giving up his presidential ambition there and contesting in the Lamu gubernatorial election, where he lost to Issa Timami. So also some more take home from the presidential debate yesterday, where we had Raila skip that particular debate and instead was in Meru. We also had actually, let's go back to what Waiga More had to say before we look at what William Ruto of Kenya Kwanza had to say during that particular presidential debate. So in all my life, I found myself being moved to leadership positions, except the one I am looking for. There is always an Obama moment, a Mandela moment, and I believe this is an Obama moment, a Mandela moment, not just for me, but for Kenyans. That is what David More or Waiga, presidential candidate for Agano, had to say in regard to the presidential debate that took place yesterday. But that is just sampling some of the take-homes from that particular presidential debate, given the developments that we saw during that particular debate. Professor George Wajakoya of Roots Party are coming to the venue and leaving after the organizers failed to meet his demands, and this was to have the debate take place having all the other presidential candidates, including Raila Odinga, William Ruto, and David More there. That's just but a sneak peek of who exactly David More of Agano Party is, and we're going to be interrogating his manifesto further as Safin Achieng comes up at 10 o'clock to have a candid conversation between David More of Agano Party and his running mate there, Ruth Mushero Mutua. So far, these are the 4 presidential candidates that have been cleared by IEBC and are looking, or rather aiming at clinching the top seat ahead of the August 9th polls that are scheduled for the 9th of August. That is just but 12 days away. I'm Regina Manyara. Enjoy your viewing. Now we're back on this other side, and we want to just have a sneak peek of what we have on our various dailies. And the top story in this particular daily that I have this morning is in regard to buses or death cages. This follows the grisly accident at Nithi, or in Meru, the Meru-Nairobi road there this week, that claimed the lives of 35 persons. And the questions have been raised here. The question is the quality of fabricated buses and vans. Could we do better, a better design and have reinforcement, and could they have saved, if these reinforcements, could they have saved more lives? It's quite a detailed report here in regard to that particular story there, following that particular accident that claimed the lives of 35 persons. Other than that, just some take home from the presidential debate that took place yesterday. Remember, that's the last in as far as the presidential debate is concerned. We had Roots Party presidential candidate Professor George Wajakoya appear at the venue and, left after his demands to debate with Ruto and Raila were turned down. We also had More there who had his moment, and he took that time to put a question to Kenyans, and is that I'm told Kenyans have already made a decision on whom they will vote. Have those you want to vote for made a difference, or any difference in your life? That's a question that is posed by Agano Party presidential candidate David More Moiga there to you and I as electorate. Those you want to vote, have they made a difference in your life? On the other hand, is that Deputy William Ruto has also been quoted there. Just one of his snippets. What he had to say is that I tried to push for the Big Four plan, but my boss, President Kenyatta, told me he wanted to assemble new people to help him deliver, and unfortunately, the plans didn't materialize. The real solution to the high cost of living is dealing with the cost of food. The presidential debate is currently trending on Twitter, with Kenyans still adding their opinions into regard to the performance of More, as well as Deputy President William Ruto, who participated in the debate there. Remember, 4 candidates have been cleared by the IEBC to run for the top seat come August 9th, which is just 12 days away. Also, the main read in this particular daily is that 16.9 billion shillings is the capitation that has been sent to schools, and the money will be used to fund studies in primary and secondary schools for the second term of the 2022 school calendar. That's just but a sneak peek of what has been given precedence in this particular daily. You can get further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. And to remind you, tomorrow being Thursday, the 28th, we're going to be televising the official opening of the Commonwealth Games that are taking place at Birmingham, the UK. And we expect that Team Kenya is going to be hosting the national flag at the Games Athletics Village. And it's going to be right there on your screens, because KBC Channel 1 is going to be televising that particular feat to you live. And subsequently, we're going to be televising and airing those particular games as they are scheduled in the course of that particular sporting event. The World Athletics Champions were just concluded there, and I guess our team is ready to come back home. We will see what is going to be happening. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Remember, further details are still available on our website. That is www.kbc.co.ke. That puts a cap on Matters News. Be sure to keep it right here. We have so much in store for you, including candid conversations with political analysts in regard to where we are as far as matters politics are concerned, as well as later on, we're going to be having a one-on-one conversation with none other than David More Waiga of the Agano Party, right here on KBC Channel 1, to be carried over by my colleague Sefin Acheng. So do keep it right here and enjoy your viewing. Introducing the undisputed king of local country, Sir Elvis.
Yeah, get down, turn around, go to town, boot, scoot, boogie.
Abantu ba Mintombi Yamole.
Your favorite KBC station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest KC music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs.
Minto FM,
And welcome. My name is Victor Lowe and you're watching Good Morning Kenya. This is the day that we've been waiting for, a day after the presidential debate which ended yesterday after that marathon run. And today being the 27th day of July 2022, we only have 12 days to the polls. Now that's it, what we call the final lap. In any race, this is the final lap. This is a point that every politician, all the agencies involved make final touches to make sure that we get to the polls in a better and the best way so far. And today, let's talk about issues that were raised yesterday and what we should expect in the coming days with only 12 days to the polls. And with me in studio, I have got two gentlemen who are brilliant and will be able to help me dissect this. I have got Honorable David Sankok, who is a nominated member of parliament, and he'll tell us more on what he thinks as far as this election is concerned, as well as Honorable Engineer Joshua Toro, who is a former Assistant Minister of Roads and Public Works and Housing. During the time when Raila Odinga was the Prime Minister?
No, I was the Minister.
We was the Minister, right, right. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Karibu sana. Let me start with you, Honorable Mheshimiwa Joshua Toro. What do you make of yesterday's debate? It ended, and so we want to do a quick analysis of what happened.
Well, thank you very much. Let me start by saying good morning to the viewers who are watching us today. I'm sure there are very many all over Kenya. Unfortunately, I did not watch the first one. I had gone to Muranga for a funeral and I got it coming. So I cannot comment about the first. I can only talk about now the one by the deputy president.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, unless somebody is asked a specific question, if you comment on somebody who's talked for about 90 minutes, it's not easy to summarize. But in my view, the deputy president did not articulate what he has been saying in the public rallies. Because the issue of, for example, Mama Bogas, Boda Bodas, bottom up, that did not feature, and that is the main campaign tool. It was not articulated so that the Kenyans can be able to know what that means. So, in a nutshell, I think he left a lot to be desired. The deputy president on public rallies was different when he faced the media. So all I can say is that when you are looking for votes, you really don't tell people the truth. But when the hard questions are asked, then you forget about what you tell the public in public rallies. And now you come to the reality that there are some things you say in public rallies that you cannot be able to explain. So that's in a summary, that's what I think of that 90-minute debate.
All right. What about you, Mheshimiwa Sankok?
First of all, I watched both interviews. Maore was very brilliant, very ambitious, and especially when he mentioned about the offshore accounts and Pandora Papers, how our funds have been fleeced and put into offshore accounts and Pandora Papers. He did not explain how he will be able to use the law, because you must use every institution that is independent in making sure that those are punished and that the money that have been lost is brought back to the economy. So he did not explain how. But when it comes to the deputy president, Kenyans yesterday saw a brilliant, intelligent, energetic man who can stand for a whole 90 minutes. It actually came out that he's actually a true PhD holder. And no wonder, and I think even you guys of the media, you know, when you invited Raila Odinga to debate with the deputy president, you are also from the media expecting a bit too much. How can you match a PhD holder, very energetic and still young, to debate with somebody whose history in terms of schooling is not well known, classmate in secondary school, in university. So I think it was for people of the media expecting a bit too much, that these two characters can stand and debate on equal wavelength. But nonetheless, the deputy president explained and answered all the questions. My brother have said that he have not talked about Mama Mboga, but you know the question was not asked. And we are disciplined characters in terms of the hustler movement, so we'll answer the questions that were asked. So the questions that were asked were not asked about the bottom-up economic model, which also expected the people of the media to ask, because that is what will really assist Kenyans. So we delved so much on Kimwarer and Aror Dam, which was well explained in terms of how much acreage does the deputy president own and how he acquired the acreage, and I think he perfectly answered very well. He said that I have a land from I think Taita Taveta, which was sold through FC loan to him by credit cost, and the documentation are there for the media if they need to scrutinize. The agreements are there. I'm a Maasai and I'm from Narok. I know the land that he owned from Transmara, which was previously owned by Murumbi, which was sold to him. The agreements are there. We know the family that have sold that land. I think the deputy president fell short on asking those who own land the size of Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, 6 million acres. How did you acquire them? Did you really buy them? Can we peruse the agreements? I know of Kidong Ranch, which is still in Narok, just like the Murumbi land. Kidong Ranch is 98,000 acres, but we have never been told that it was bought from this family. And where are the agreements? They lied to us that they bought from Wazungu, but to the best of my knowledge is that we fought for independence and that the Wazungu went away, and the land that belonged to the Maasai was returned to the Maasai, not to one family, not to individuals. So when they tell us that they bought from Mzungu, I don't know any Mzungu who is a Maasai. No, I don't know.
But Mheshimiwa, when you said that the deputy president was not asked the pertinent question regarding the manifesto has been there. He's been talking about them in the rally. So the Mwananchi expected the hard questions that, that are not in the open to be asked so that we can get the correct answers. So either way, media was right to ask those tough questions.
Yes, it is. The media was right, but I thought we should have balance. That we ask at least.
Yes.
In your manifesto, we have heard of an economic model. You know, an economic model, especially in a country like ours, which is on an economic meltdown. You know, an economic model and how it will work and how it will be different from the one that we have been using called the trickle-down economic model. I thought that would have been the first and very pertinent question. And then the other issue is that in our manifesto we are talking about the hustler fund. I expected the media to ask, where do you get the hustler fund from? What is the budget line? How will you get the hustler fund?
Yes.
And again, as my brother have said, I will have expected the media to ask, you are talking about Mama Mboga, you are talking about Boda Boda. How do you intend to empower them? Yes, so, but those questions were not asked, and the Deputy President will not have answered question that was not asked.
Probably you expected the debate to go a particular direction. But Mheshimiwa Joshua, you know, the way he's saying is like the DP was given a road deal. But that's the rule of the game. Sometimes you're thrown to the deep end and you're forced to walk there.
No, I think Mheshimiwa Sankok is not being honest because he was talking about manifesto. Kwanzaa manifesto, this is very good.
Yes.
So it was not the honors of the media to ask those specific questions, because the Deputy President and Kenya Kwanzaa Brigade have been talking about bottom up, Mama Mboga and all that, and about the manifesto. So when you want to talk about your manifesto, you highlight those important issues that pertain to Wananchi. And as far as I'm concerned, if the Kwanzaa manifesto, Kenya Kwanzaa manifesto is truly good as they are saying, the Deputy President should have articulated those key issues. And those key issues are the Mama Mboga, the Boda Boda, the bottom up. Because that is the basis of the manifesto.
Yes.
And it was not for the media to ask those specific questions in the manifesto. It is for you, the developer of the manifesto, to say exactly those things that you think are important. Otherwise, the media would not have gone to ask very many questions about the manifesto.
Yes.
It was for the Deputy President to highlight what is important. In any case,
Victor, just an example.
No, just.
If you are asked,
just let me finish.
If you are asked what is your name, will you now tell me you come from Ranga or Kiambu, or you will say your name? Now the Deputy President was asked about Kimwarer. Now, if you are asked about Kimwarer, will you talk about the bottom-up economic model?
Why don't you
or
let
you
me
explain
finish? You know, I let you talk now.
Okay.
You have come back towards about Kimwarer.
Okay, continue.
I'm talking about the manifesto, Kenya Kwanzaa manifesto, and what in the public rallies you have been whipping people. The DP and the brigade have been whipping all Kenyans and Mama Mbogas and about Mama Mboga and Boda Boda and bottom up. That takes about 80% of their time in public rallies. But when you come to the media, that one takes about 10% or 2%. Now, about the time, you know, I find it very amusing when Sankoko portrays like he was given a rope deal in the time. He had all the time himself. When the Prime Minister did not go, and they would have shared all the time together. So he should be very happy that he got all the 90 minutes to say whatever he wanted to say. Otherwise, if the Prime Minister was there, he would have had half of the time that he had with the media. So he should be very happy that he was given 90 minutes to be able to talk, and finally, because of the length of the time, 90 minutes, he was not able to portray himself the way he has been doing in the public rallies. So I would say time was not an issue. He had all the time. And he failed to utilize those 90 minutes to convince Kenyans about the manifesto.
Okay.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Sankoka, also take on that.
First of all, I did not say that the deputy president was given a road deal in terms of time. I said the questions that were structured did not ask about the economic models that we are using, and that did not ask about what was in our manifesto.
Right.
And if you are disciplined, you know, there are a political side that are never disciplined. If you are disciplined, if you are asked about your name, you don't describe the school that you went to. You say your name, my name is David Ole Sankok, and then now you can ask me another question. Which school did you went to in primary? I'll tell you the school that I went to in primary, not the village I went to or the seminars that I attended, church keshas that I attended. I will answer the question the way you have asked. So when the media actually were the ones asking questions, the deputy president was answering. He was not given the 90 minutes to elaborate on his manifesto. No, the questions were asked. And because the deputy president is a disciplined person, he will answer the question the way they are asked and give the correct answers. But to me, he did it perfect and it was excellent, because what we have been telling the people in our rallies, they have understood and they know. But there are lies that have been peddled, that the deputy president is a land grabber. We realize that you have 2,500 acres in Taita Taveta, and another 600 acres in Transmara, that is 3,100, as compared to people who have 6 million acres, you know, and they are not explaining where they got the land from. So this lie was actually shifted now, because already the deputy president have described how he acquired the land through FC loan, yes, and the mutation land that was actually sold to him by fraudsters, like just the way maybe you buy a car, and then you find that this car was actually stolen. And those people who sold that land to the deputy president are currently in court. The only thing that the deputy president was punished for is that now that you have occupied the mutation land for 3 years, you have to pay the amount that
which actually said was 5 million.
Which actually is 5 million. So that case is set aside. Now, we want the others now to tell us 98,000 acres of Taita Taveta, the 10,000 acres that are in Nairobi that are owned by one family, how did they acquire it? Where did you buy it? At what price? Because the agreement of the deputy president that is willing to table from the land from creek to coast state even the price. And when was it sold to?
Before I come to you, Mheshimiwa Joshua, let me ask you, Honorable Sankok, now that Honorable Prime Minister did not attend, to what value did it add to the DP's debate?
Of course, to us, we had
because someone would say that he was running the race all alone.
We had a field day.
Right.
We had the whole 90 minutes. We have always been complaining that the media have been biased. You know, God works in very mysterious ways. It gave us 90 minutes of airtime. All Kenyans, millions, including my brother here, were actually watching, whether they like it or not. Even I believe the Prime Minister, wherever he was actually watching. And we had, in fact, the 90 minutes for us is enough. And it really assisted us in demystifying some myths, some lies that have been peddled against the deputy president. So it was marvelous, and I congratulate the media. Thank you very much. If you have another 90 minutes, please give us. We will be able to take it up.
Our bosses are watching. Probably they might consider that request. Honorable Joshua.
Yes.
He's your take on that? The Prime Minister was away. He didn't attend. What's your take?
First of all, to answer what Sankoko is saying.
Yes.
You know, this campaign, and that is for the president, is not between Uhuru and Ruto. So when you focus on 6 million acres, which is not true, nobody owns 6 million acres of land, and other areas where land
Did I
is
mention
owned.
anybody?
No, you didn't mention
I didn't.
Okay.
So when he bring the name of my president,
No, we know. You know, there. You don't. If you see,
I didn't mention anybody.
No. We know what I know what I'm talking about and what you people say. Now, when you talk about those very many acres, yeah, the person who is competing with you is not the one who owns that land. Other people are the ones who own the land.
Yes.
Yeah, and he should have said who. If specifically people say you Ruto, you own this and this and this. Yeah. Now, when you say other people own, say who they are. Because when you say that, how do Kenyans know what you're talking about? And the competition between Ruto and the Prime Minister in the question of land, then come and say that the Prime Minister grabbed land somewhere. He owns this land. He owns so many acres. Okay, because those are the ones in competition. But when you bring up issues of people who are not competing with you,
okay,
you are being diversionary.
Okay, okay.
So you find that when the 90 minutes, when Sankoko says they had a field day, if you're running a race on your own, a marathon, and you're on your own, of course you have the field day. There is no competitor. The other issue I take exemption with is like the deputy president was very bitter about something that is not known. When you say that the prime minister cannot be able to come, and I think when you say he could not come and face me, and Sankoko is saying that how do you put a PhD, yeah, with somebody? You see the credentials of Honorable Raila Odinga, they are known. He was a lecturer in the University of Nairobi when I was a student myself in those early days. So how, when university was one, and the criteria of being a lecturer in the University of Nairobi then was very high. So how did he become a lecturer if his standard of education was low? He had educated in Germany, he got an engineering degree and came and was a lecturer here. And that's a fact. You cannot dispute that one. So this propaganda that now Sankok Mheshimiwa is saying that you cannot put this one with this one because you do not know his education background, it is pure malice. And this is what we are saying, that let us not be personal on certain issues because they are not true. The other issue is that when you say that Honorable Raila Odinga feared facing Ruto, I mean, it is far from the truth. There are certain issues that were not addressed.
Yes.
Just like when the repeat of the elections, 2017, the side of the Prime Minister who was facing Uhuru and Ruto, they said until certain issues are addressed by IBC, we are not going to participate in the repeat election. And they did not do it because those issues were not addressed. Even in this debate, Prime Minister said there are certain issues I want addressed before I come there.
Yes.
And they were not addressed. So he said, there is no way I'm going to come and be there. Yeah.
Okay. So now that he did not attend, what do you think? How do you think that changed his political standing?
It has not. It hasn't changed. For him, it's okay, and it is even better that he did not attend.
Because this debate was meant to give a platform away from the political rallies that you always engage in and get that fair platform for everyone to watch. Perhaps there's that question, a decided voter, Mheshimiwa Sankok, the undecided voter. Do you think it shifted to some extent?
No, let me finish.
Okay, in 1 minute, yes.
Because you are the one who asked me that.
Okay.
Now, it did not shift because you need to hear the other side of the story. You know, when you are racing a race yourself,
yes,
and you finish, and there is somebody else who did not participate, then the best thing to say, okay, you ran the marathon, you croaked 2 hours, let us see the other one. If he came and he was to come, maybe he would do better than 2 hours. And this is the point, that people will now be waiting for the Honorable Raila Odinga now to come and say his piece. Because you see, the media was not exclusive, that since it was a presidential debate, and it is closed. The media is being addressed all the time. The Prime Minister will have time to address the media. And he has addressed the media before.
Okay.
And you have addressed all the media jointly and ask and tell even when I ask him questions.
Yes.
That you want me answered.
Honorable Sankok.
First of all, let me correct my brother. I did not say that the Prime Minister did not have a degree. I said that the Deputy President is a PhD holder from the University of Nairobi, the pride of East and Central Africa, the best university north and south of Limpopo. And I said that former Prime Minister have no known classmates in secondary school and in the university. No known classmates. That is what I said. Whether he have a degree, it is for IBC to see and for higher education to know if you have a degree. But for me, I think if I ask you about your classmates, you'll tell me. My brother here have said that he was a student when he was a lecturer.
Then you have to go to Germany to look for his classmates in Germany, not in Kenya. Because he attended university in Germany.
No, I said even in secondary school. So
there are so many people.
So,
let me
just a bit. You had your time.
Just a point of information.
You had your time.
A point of information.
Let him finish.
Just a point of information.
I'll come back to you.
You had your time.
I'll come back to you.
By the way, what did you study? Because then he was a lecturer in, I think, the School of Engineering or something like that.
Yes.
Was he a lecturer or a lab technician? Anyway, let's go to another issue that is very pertinent. When we say that he feared facing the Deputy President,
yes,
that is not far from the truth. We know that in 2017, my president and my party leader did not face Raila Odinga. He is now the chairman of Azimio.
Was he a coward then?
No, he is now the chairman of Azimio.
Yes.
And he is the master. Raila is the project. So you can now add 1 + 1 so that you can get 2. That since the chairman of Azimio, the master, did not attend the presidential debate, then may have pulled the strings and advised the project not to attend just the way he did not attend. So we know. And if actually Uhuru feared Raila to face him in presidential debate, and Raila feared Ruto in a presidential debate, you can now see that the combination cannot match William Ruto as a PhD holder.
Those are all assumptions.
From the letter which was from this.
Before I forget my point.
Just a minute.
You let me forget my point.
Professor Makau Mutua said that there were some pertinent issues and questions which are not addressed by the Presidential Debate Secretariat.
Yes.
That's why Honorable Raila Odinga did not attend. Not that he feared Honorable Ruto.
Which pertinent issues?
Nairobi of Kenyatta University, and they are very good teachers.
Yes.
But when they go to the class,
yes,
they approach differently. But the topics they are teaching are the same. And then you find, out of that, one teacher is able to make students pass, to have A's, and another teacher will have 3 A's, another one 10 A's. That is basically the same with manifestos.
Right.
So these manifestos are talking about the same thing.
All right.
The teachers, one manifesto teacher is William Ruto. The other manifesto, the teacher is Honorable Raila Odinga. Those are the teachers of those manifestos. And the way they approach them, the way they are addressing the issue, same issues, is different from one teacher to the other.
Okay, allow me to take a break. And we come back, Honorable Sankok. I'll give you time to respond to that. We still have so much more to cover, but we have to pay bills as well. So let's take a break, and we come back. We are still talking about the issue of manifesto and what happened yesterday at the presidential debate. And Honorable Sankok says that the people living with disability is given a road deal. We'll get into that when he comes back.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that.
Okay, we'll discuss that when you come back.
Introducing the undisputed king of local country, Sir Elvis.
Yeah, get down, turn around, go to town, boot, scoot, boogie.
Ngimote yatmugulel dang ngimote monge nyange begi putina lale lale yo kimi give again lale yo Kitwood FM gigo sale lale yo Kitwood FM gigo
shillings. And KQ as a parastatal, a government parastatal, only owned 2 aircrafts. The rest are owned by leaders in government who ran those aircrafts to KQ at exorbitant prices that KQ will never make any profit. That is why KQ today is protected by law by giving them the customer base. All government officials traveling in and out of our country must use KQ. That is the customer base we have handed over to KQ. They charge very expensive. To and fro from Nairobi to Mombasa is 30,000 Kenya shillings, while private airlines like Fly 540, 748, charge 11,000, a third of what they charge. And yet KQ make losses, the rest are still afloat. Why? Because KQ is a den of corruption. KQ, aircrafts in KQ are owned by government officials, hiring the aircraft at exorbitant prices that KQ will never make any profit. It end up not even paying taxes, because if you declare nil in returns or losses, you don't pay taxes. And that is why we want to change and say that the money that we have given KQ, 100 billion, what about if we decide to give 1 million Kenyans 100,000 each? Each Kenyan, 100,000 times 1 million Kenyans, that will become the 100 billion we have given KQ. And by doing that, we will have 1 million new businesses. Another person will open a saloon, another one an M-Pesa shop, another one will buy a boda boda because it is at the neighborhood of 100,000. The other one will open a kiosk. We'll have 1 million new taxpayers. We'll have 1 million new potential employers. Because if you have a saloon, you can still employ one person. If you have a nduthi, you can still give what they call a squad or something like that. So that is what our economic model is totally different from the economic model in Azimio. Our manifesto was not developed in a conference room, in a boardroom. It was developed across the country, across the 47 counties in this country, where there was enough public participation. Kenyans were asked, what do you think the government ought to prioritize in your own area? They came to Narok. We talked about hide and skin, that in Australia, the skin of a cow worth more than the meat of the cow, simply because they use the hides and skin to manufacture shoes and other leather byproducts. Unlike us, who waste 90% of our hides and skin. Victor, in Kenya, we slaughter 3 million cows yearly. We lose to drought 1 million. That translates to 4 million annually, that cows that we slaughter in Kenya. Those are the hides that we have in Kenya. Yet we import 25 million pairs of shoes annually to this country. Why? And we are wasting these hides and skin. They are eaten by hyenas and dogs. So that is what we told them when they came to Narok, for instance, or when they went to another pastoralist region. So our manifesto is different from theirs, because ours was not developed in boardrooms. It was developed by the citizens themselves. And I can go on giving example. We also went to the teachers. We also went to the healthcare workers. What do you think can be prioritized from you? We also went to persons with disabilities. And persons with disability came out. And a striking feature of persons with disability, they said, we need opportunities, not sympathy. We need to be economically empowered. We don't need handouts. That is what the person, and you can go on records, because it was on record. We were in race course. And persons with disability, around 4 of them, including, I can mention, those persons with disability leaders who said we don't need handouts. We need economic empowerment. We need opportunities, not sympathy. So it is totally different, because the Azimio manifesto is on handouts, that they will give 6,000 Kenya shillings to Kenyans. But for us, even persons with disability, in our manifesto, said no to handouts. So I wonder, Victor, if persons with disability say they don't want handouts, Victor, will you take their handouts?
Mheshimiwa Toro, would you take the handouts? That's a question directed to me. But is it true that it's handout or an empowerment package?
When you talk about the manifestos, both manifestos, I said they are addressing the same issues. It's the approach that is different. Because the issue of hides and skins is covered in Azimio manifesto about the manufacture of shoes and how to utilize our hides and skins. We also talk about how to protect the pastoralists from loss of cows and how to compensate them. Manufacturing is completely addressed in Azimio manifesto. So I would like him to say, we in Kenya Kwanza, we have addressed this. It is not in Azimio manifesto. Because I say all those things are covered. They are the same. That's why I was giving a narrative of the physics book or chemistry book,
yes,
written by different authors. But they are covering the same thing. It's only the approach. So you cannot say that this one is superior than this one. And I have not. I'm very clear. I have not said that Azimio manifesto is superior to Kenya Kwanza manifesto. What I'm saying, both manifestos are addressing the same issues in different ways. The issue of handout. You see, when you say that you can be able to help the disadvantaged people with 6,000 shillings a month, yeah, and you can be able to afford to do that, so that people can be able to, in our constitution, the basic rights of the Mwananchi is food, health, and shelter.
Yes.
So if you find that in Kenya there are so many people going hungry, and you identify those families, because it's household, identify those families and be able to cushion them by making sure that they are able to eat.
Yes.
They are able to live like other people. And you have money for that. That is not a handout. It is social welfare. Just like now, currently we have got all citizens above 70 years, they are getting 2,000. Okay? So, and you are not calling that a handout, but it's helping those people who are not able to go to work and they need to eat. Now, when you talk about 50 billion to Boda Boda, another 100 million to Mama Boga, isn't that a handout? It's also a handout. Because, yeah, it's also a handout.
No.
Because you're saying, you say you are going to give people 100,000. It's also a handout in a different way. But also, when you are talking about the vulnerable getting compensated, it is very different from those Azimio are saying they are going to help in business. Because the Azimio manifesto has got those two approaches. You have the people who can work.
Yes.
The Juakari. Yeah. So those ones will be helped by the government, Azimio government, to get the loans. Yeah, which they will not pay for 7 years, so that they can establish, and that's very clear, so that they can be able to establish that business and take off. That one is very well addressed. And then the Kenya Kwanza, apart from saying we will give Boda Bodas and whatever, they do not even address how they are going to give those people the money and on what conditions. The other issue is when you say that Azimio manifesto was done in boardrooms, it is not true. Okay? Research. When you do research on what pertains the problems of the people, yeah, the approach to do the research can be two ways.
Yes.
You can call the people in a public rally and ask them what they will tell you. Yeah? From Narok. You call them. You can equally call the experts from Narok. Yeah? And you say the people and the leaders from Narok and say the problems we are having here are this and this and this.
Yes.
Because they are representing the community. If I wanted to do something about Narok, and I call Mr. Sankok, and we sit down and he tells me things that happen in Narok, he is an authority. I cannot say that what he has told me is not true, is not right, because I never went for a public rally there. So the approach, we are talking about the approach. The approach is the one that I'm saying, you achieve the same things,
yes,
but you approach the differently. So the issue of saying that, like we copied from Kenya Kwanza manifesto, I think we can say, and I don't want to say so, if you want to go that right, then we can say it's Kenya Kwanza which copied from Azimio, because Azimio was launched before, and Kenya Kwanza was launched about a month later.
Okay.
So who copied from who?
Okay. Just to get back to the issue of debate, now that Honorable Raila Odinga did not attend, and I've just received a question that how is Raila Odinga going to redeem himself from that debate?
There's nothing to redeem himself from. There's nothing. Because, you know, when you are, and I'll give a very good narrative.
Yes.
When Honorable Deputy President was doing campaign alone, yeah, in Mount Kenya region, he used to come there alone. There was no competitor until Raila came into the scene.
Yes.
Okay. So can you? It's like saying now, how is Ruto going to redeem himself? Because now Raila has come in. Raila has got so many avenues of addressing the media and the Kenyans in public rallies. He addresses the media. Eventually, he will accord his presence and his time to the media. Because I don't think when Honorable Raila says that now, I would like to meet the media. The media now, not KBC or Citizen. I want the media, fraternity. And this is the time I'm ready for you. I'm sure you'll agree. All the media houses will agree. To
have another presidential debate?
Not a presidential debate. No. You see, a presidential is a baptism. Yeah? That debate is a baptized presidential debate, but it's a debate. You can have another debate which is not presidential.
Okay.
Remove the issue of the baptism of presidential.
Right. Okay.
And then you have another debate.
Let me give Sankok time to respond to that as well. Do you think Honorable Odinga dented his image by not attending? And if so, how will he redeem himself? Because politics, you know the art and mastery of, changing perception at the end of the day.
Of course, it was a presidential debate.
Yes.
So only presidents were allowed to attend. And again, for Raila to redeem himself, if you watch the news, most of them will get 3 minutes, 4 minutes talking time. Now to accumulate to 90 minutes, it will be a tall order. He will need another 1 year to redeem himself, because if you go to the news and get 2 minutes today and tomorrow 2 minutes, to get 90 minutes, then you'll need 1 year. So you will still need another 1 year to be able to start from the same wavelength that we are now because of courtesy of the presidential debate. And it is not something that is baptized. We have presidential debates even in superpowers countries. And it is a very important debate, because it is the time that you will tell the Kenyans, what are you really for and what will you do to them? If we give you an opportunity, which is 12 days to, what will you do to us? What will you do to revive the economy? It's also an opportunity to tell you that now, Honorable the former Prime Minister, you have been mentioned in the maize scandal. You have been mentioned in the molasses scandal. You have been mentioned in state capture, where you have captured our gas transport system. I'm not saying you have captured, but I'm saying those are the questions that you'll be told. And then you will redeem himself by saying, no, those are allegations, they are not true, this is what it is. Because yesterday, Ruto got that opportunity. He was told, you have been labeled a land grabber. Mteshi land was mentioned, Kritikos land was mentioned, Murumbi land was mentioned. He was able to redeem himself from those perennial lies. But now, Raila Odinga did not get an opportunity to redeem himself from allegations that have been labeled against him, including the issue of molasses and maybe the issue of gas. And that is why the gas in 2018, from filling a cylinder of 5 kgs, 600 shillings, went all the way to 1,600 shillings. You never know. So those may be lies, but he had an opportunity to redeem himself. He did not. So I'm telling you, for a fact, he missed, and he really messed himself big time.
Okay. I want us to go to the next bit here.
There was also the issue that my brother was talking about.
Right.
He was talking about that these manifestos are still the same. I've given an example.
Addressing the same issue.
I've given an example of the trickle-down economic model vis-a-vis the bottom-up economic model. Those are totally different. I've mentioned the issue of handouts. You know, when you talk about giving 6,000 Kenya shillings to the vulnerable, do you really know who is vulnerable? The person who is vulnerable is that person who cannot work. I was the chairman National Council for Persons with Disability. I do not say that give 2,000 Kenya shillings to every person with disability. I said, Sangok, because you walk on crutches, give him crutches so that he can go and work. A people who is in school, pay for them school fees, they graduate as doctors and engineers, and they can be able to fend for themselves. I say the 2,000 Kenya shillings that will be given to those who are severely disabled, those who need 24-hour care, those who are mentally disabled, who cannot differentiate, who cannot work, who cannot go to school, who we cannot train, those are the vulnerable. But somebody who can be able to go to the river and get a fish, will teach them how to fish, will not go and fish and give them fish.
I think issue of economic model, because I overlooked commenting on that one. You know, he gave an example, a very poor example of Kenya Airways.
Yes.
You know, Kenya Airways is, if you view it as a parastatal, the big corporations which pay tax are not the parastatals. There are very few parastatals which are based and they're supposed they can be give revenue to treasury. Very few. And you combine
milk industry today. We have scaled down KCC intentionally to be able to raise a monopoly milk processing industry that buy our milk at 30 shillings, skim the milk, remove butter and ghee, and sell us at 120 shillings per liter. That is robbery with violence. I'm telling you, because of monopoly. And remember even Safaricom, when he mentioned Safaricom, when it was a monopoly industry, we used to buy SIM card at 2,500 shillings. I paid 76 shillings per minute of call time. What have changed? Now we are calling at 2 shillings per minute. It is because it is no longer a monopoly. So we are saying the state cannot use its machineries through conflict of interest and state capture to protect some corporate in terms of law and in terms of resources. That 100 billion we are giving to KQ is, we are not bailing KQ as a parastatal. We are giving money to go and pay government officials who have rented their aircraft through conflict of interest to KQ. That's what we are doing.
Okay. And in 1 second, do you think the presidential debate achieved its mandate, and the candidates, did they perform to expectation?
I told you it achieved its mandate. I congratulate the media, and I urge them that every time that we have an election, they should actually organize that presidential debate. It is very important for Kenyans. Kenyans love it. And those who attended, the two of them, Waiga Maore and William Samoei Arap Ruto, did 100%, an excellent job. They put across their case. It is now for Kenyans to decide. But for me, from what I have seen and what Kenyans are commenting, that's why I told you, I listened and I sat down for the 90 minutes of Waige Maore. And I sat down for the 90 minutes of William Ruto and so many Kenyans. You follow on maybe probably percentages. You remember the deputy presidential debate, which I think also was one of the things that informed Raila not attending, because, you know, they thought Karua was very intelligent, and they have depicted Rigathi Gachagua, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, as somebody, when you give the mic, may mess up. So when he was given an opportunity and was given the mic where there was no biasness, where there was no social media twisting of information, then Mother Karua was actually Raruat. Now, after that, I think that also informed the decision why they should not attend. So, in a nutshell, for me, it was perfect. And gauging on how many people were watching, how many Kenyans were watching. I think the deputy president debate was 35 million.
Yes.
So you can imagine if you have that audience, even to have 200,000 audience is very difficult. But having 35 million as audience, actually the Right Honorable Raila Odinga messed it up.
All right. What about you, Mheshimiwa? What was the overall performance?
You know, from him, you know, even in parliament, people don't talk the same language. If you're in government, you are pro-government. If you're in the opposition, you're in the opposition. So there is no time that he's going to say that Raila did not mess himself. There is no time that he'll never say that Ruto did not perform well, because he's on that side. I'm on the other side, on Azimio. And what he has said is very true. The debate between between Gachagua and Mother Karua did not go the way that the aspirations of Azimio. Because you have two people, and Mother Karua conducted herself in a very dignified manner. Because it is as if that debate was supposed to come and attack Uhuru Kenyatta. Because every time Gachagua opened his mouth, it was attacking Uhuru Kenyatta. He mentioned Uhuru Kenyatta around about 70 times. Uhuru Kenyatta was not the one who is running. Uhuru Kenyatta is not in the ballot, and Uhuru Kenyatta is not the one who is in Azimio presidential candidate. But you find every time Gachagua would talk about, yes, I'm being mishandled, I'm being investigated, every time. And I would like to know, can you ask, what is state capture? You know, you come with some names that do not make any meaning. What is state capture?
Something that
what is state capture?
We'll discuss on that later on in the next topic, because it's a huge discussion.
Because state capture, you know, when you are in opposition, you talk about state capture, but you cannot define exactly what state capture. So in a nutshell, the presidential debate did not achieve what it should have achieved, because the first running mates, the debate on running mates,
yes,
for Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, it became an issue of somebody like taking revenge on the head of state. That all my problems are from the head of state. All my problems, that is not the issue. The issue was Kenya Kwanza manifesto, and if your manifesto, how are you going to do things? But you are talking about your own problems. You ask, how did you get your wealth? Then you blame it on, yeah? So going by that debate of the running mate, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza,
right?
If it was going to go that way again, and if you listen to what the deputy president was talking yesterday, he was prepared to go that line that Gachagua went, yeah, of bashing the coming state capture, bashing the, you know. So going by what was witnessed between the running mate debate and what they have been saying throughout,
okay, it
was going to be a repeat of that.
So generally, what was the general performance assessment?
Let me say this, that the presidential debate,
100%,
the presidential debate did not achieve what it was supposed to achieve.
Why, sir?
First, two presidential candidates did not participate. So 50% did not participate, if you want me to say that. 50%. The other running mate debate, one was a biased debate, biased towards somebody who is not in the race. So you find that balance did not come out the way the media wanted the people to be able to be advised, did not come out the way it was supposed to be. And lastly, let me say this. We have very few days to the elections. Raila is not a fool. He has been this game for
and they have always lost.
He has, well,
I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that because I want us to talk about the issue of IBC preparedness. And I also want us to talk the issue of what we should expect with only 12 days to go, so that when you come back.
And the issue of personal disability.
Exactly. All right, so let's take a break. I still have Honorable David Sankok and Honorable Joshua Toro with me in studio. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Communications Authority of Kenya, CA, regulates the broadcasting industry, promoting development of local content and ensuring responsible use of broadcasting platforms for national good, to give you and your family choice with a variety of content to enjoy.
Buddha, tulia. Ni kabila gani? Kabila yetu haizalishi. Cheki bro, jibu swali lako kwa mfala hapa hivi unafanya nani?
The Communications Authority of Kenya, opening your world.
My lady, are you all right? How did you know her ladyship was living here?
Ladyship?
Right. This is Prince Genova's lady here.
Why would you go to see her? You best not forget. She's carrying the prince's baby.
He almost died while in battle. And he's been working since getting back. He wouldn't notice that.
Almost died?
Abantu ba Mintombo Yamore.
Your favorite KBC station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest KBC music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs.
Minto FM
Introducing the undisputed king of local country, Sir Elvis.
Yeah, get down, turn around, go to town, boot, scoot, boogie.
And Honorable Engineer Joshua Toro. So, Honorable Sankok, before we took a break, it was now your turn. But let me ask you this question. During the debate, as I go back there, majorly and hugely, we did not hear any of the presidential candidates talk about the people living with a disability. And this is something which is so close to your heart. What do you make of that?
First of all, before I answer your question, I think my brother here talked about the Deputy President, that is His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, talking about our President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I can tell him it is because Uhuru Kenyatta is the chairman of Azimio. So you cannot debate against Azimio without mentioning Uhuru Kenyatta, because he's the chairman of the Council of Azimio. And we have repeatedly asked him, please, we are competing with Raila Odinga. Ondoka kidogo ndio tupatie nafasi deal na huyu jamaa. He have refused. So as a head of state, he have refused to behave like Kibaki, where he only managed his succession and did not campaign for any presidential candidate. But because Uhuru Kenyatta have decided to come and campaign for a presidential candidate, then he will have to deal with it. Now, let me come to the issue of a person with disabilities, which is very close to my heart. And I think, because I don't know where Azimio is, but for Kenya Kwanza, we had a disability charter that was signed. We sat in race course with the Deputy President, the Deputy our running mate, Rigathi Gachagua, and Kenya Kwanza team, including Mudavadi, Wetangula, all of them. We sat for 6 hours to discuss about what is the priority for persons with disability. And I can enumerate a few of them. The first agenda, and the first thing that we made sure that it will be in the manifesto of UDA, was the issue of what we call Agenda 101. That in representation, persons with disability need to be represented by one cabinet secretary, 2 principal secretaries, 2 members of parliament, National Assembly, 2 senators, and 94 MCAs, a woman and a man for every county. That translates to 101. That is why we call it Agenda 101. We went to the issue of education. We told the Deputy President that we no longer need special schools. We need integrated system of education. Because if I'm on a wheelchair, just make the class accessible. Just put a ramp there. I've been the chairman National Council for Persons with Disability from 2014 to 2017. I made sure that Kenya Sign Language is the 3rd official language in Kenya, examinable by Kenya National Examination Council. So all now our students have learned Kenya Sign Language. Whether they will become teachers or they become nurses, they at least understand sign language. So put children in one class, those with hearing impairment, and those who can hear, and as you talk, you can also sign, so that somebody can hear audially and somebody else can visualize through sign language the way I'm doing right now. So So we need that integrated system of education. Because if you put me in a special school, even if I become number one in a special school, I will believe that I'm number one among the dejected, among the stigmatized. But if you put me together with other kids, and then I become number one, because I went to an integrated school, when I became number one, I realized, oh, so there is ability beyond disability. So I may not be number one in the field, but I can be number one in class. So, Victor, if you scored an E because there was no F, and I scored an A, I'm just giving an example,
right?
Because there was no A plus, yet I'm a person with disability. I realized that you are disabled in class, but while I am disabled in the field. And again, in an integrated system of education, we learn how to assist each other through a symbiotic relationship. I used to have a friend called Patrick Malel in secondary school, Kericho High School. And he used to go and fetch water because I cannot with my crutches. But then I will wash all the clothes. You see? So at that time, we start a relationship. Because if we have a special school, you will manage to have a special primary school, a special secondary school. Will you manage to have a special university for me? Will you have a special supermarket for me? Will you have a special workplace for me? At the end of the day, I will interact with the general public. The earlier, the better. We also went to the issue of the Hustler Fund. We said, out of the Hustler Fund, which the Kenya Kwanza say it's 50 billion, 10% of that Hustler Fund should go to businesses owned by a person with disability. We also went to Kenya Kwanza, in case we get a number of governors, that all marketplaces, all market stalls, 10% of market stalls should be set aside for persons with disabilities. We also went for the NHIF in universal healthcare, which Kenya Kwanza is talking about. We say that NHIF cover should be able to cover the provision of assisted devices, just the way to cover the provision of drugs for diabetes, for instance, which may cost 10,000 per month. My crutches cost 1,500 and I use them for 2 years. So why can NHIF cover? Because it is very difficult for somebody from Turkana to travel to Nairobi in search of crutches that cost 1,500. It is not economically viable. And again, when you come to Nairobi to search for crutches, you'll be given what is available. Sometimes a wheelchair. Yet you are supposed to walk on crutches to have physical strength. Now you'll be on a wheelchair, condemned to sitting. So the disability will be more pronounced than before. But if NHIF cover, it means that small clinic in Murang'a, that small health center in Turkana knows that I have 10 persons with disability, one of them require crutches, either auxiliary or elbow crutches, or they require a wheelchair, or they require this caliper. So they will be providing the customized, the prescribed, medically prescribed assistive devices, so that it does not end up.
Do we have an active legislative bill in Parliament or passed protecting PWDs?
Yes, there is a Person with Disability Act of Parliament of 2003, session paper number 14, which gave birth to National Council for Persons with Disability. And that is where I was coming to, that the National Council for Persons with Disability have a fund that is 1.8 billion. 1.2 billion of it goes to cash transfer. 30 million is for assistive devices across the 47 counties. Now you can imagine, in Kenya, we have 400,000 wheelchair users.
400,000
wheelchair users.
All right.
And we only have 30 million for the whole country for all assistive devices. We say that money is not enough, but we will not go to look for money elsewhere. We have another state corporation that is hidden, called the National Fund for the Disabled of Kenya, that own Rehema House of Westlands, Rehema House in CBD, and Rehema House in Ngong Road. It is a multi-million asset state corporation, but it is managed through State House. Parliament cannot oversight it. I think he understands, because he was in Parliament. Parliament does not oversight funds that go through State House. So you can imagine this fund is there. We don't know how it is being oversight.
Yes.
They are not audited. So we have said, since it's a multi billion asset owner, let those assets go to National Council for Persons with Disability so that it can be oversighted, it can be managed from there. Lastly, on the issue of manufacturing, we also told the Kenya Kwanza, since you'll be having a manufacturing industries across the country, let us also view persons with disability as potential customers for manufactured goods, that is calipers, assist devices. And I can give you an example. 400,000 wheelchair users currently in Kenya. If each wheelchair costs 30,000, that is a 12 billion factory. 12 billion worth of metal being sat by Kenyans, being used by Kenyans. If you add other assistive devices, it will be an industry worth 100 billion. An industry worth 100 billion with a customer base of 6.5 million Kenyans with disability. Any potential investor is willing to invest on that. So if we open up for manufacturing, instead of only focusing on cars and guns and other issues, we can also focus on persons with disability being a market bigger than Nairobi because it's 6.5 million, and they will always use assistive devices so that we can manufacture these assistive devices locally.
Well put, Mheshimiwa, well put. But let me also get your side of Azimio. He's articulated very well what Kenya Kwanza has in store for PWDs and what they're intending to do. What about Azimio? Do you feel that PWDs will also get a fair share of, Raila's government if he's elected?
You'll get a fair share. That one is for sure. It has been addressed. But you see, I'm not an expert. I cannot contradict him because he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
Because he's one of them. And the issues he has been trying to push, I cannot contradict him. And that's why he was nominated in Parliament, because of that issue. The only issue that I think I would fault him is knowing exactly what is required to be done. And the Parliament these days, not like the Parliament of yesteryear, where it was very hard for registration to come from members of Parliament. These days it is straightforward. Member of Parliament can bring changes to the Act, and then it can be taken over and it becomes law. What he has said is very important, but the question is, why hasn't he been able to even bring a bill in Parliament to bring that trust that is managed by State House or Office of the President, so that that money is channeled now to the parastatal, where it is deficient of money, because that was within his mandate. He did not have to wait until Kenya Kwanza comes to government, and if it comes to government, which I think it will not, they will have to amend the act, because the president cannot say now from today this money is going to be there. There has to be an act. And that amendment, that's why I'm saying, are faulting him, knowing exactly what is wrong as a member of Parliament who is representing the people living with disabilities. He should have been able to be active and bring a bill. If I am hearing from him that there was a bill I presented to bring this fund back to this, from this fund, which is not audited in Parliament, and the bill did not go through, then I would not fault him. But now,
let me answer that one.
But now he has waited for so long, and you know exactly. I'm very happy that you know exactly what you want.
Yes.
You know, call the truth the truth.
Yes.
You know exactly what you want.
Yes.
And I have listened to you, and you are already in Parliament for 5 years.
Yes.
So you have enriched yourself with so many issues. But you see, the audit, since you find that even the audit, the PIC, the PAC in Parliament, they are restricted in certain areas which can be unlocked by amending certain acts. So the failure by Parliament to amend certain acts is also wrong. We can also fault the Parliament for not able to unlock those issues which they think.
Let me answer.
Okay, take it away.
Yeah, before I answer my...
Yes,
okay, yeah.
just
that one.
Yes, because when it comes to that particular fund, I brought 7 different questions. It's unfortunate today we are discussing about the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. If we are discussing about what happened in Parliament, and it is in the Hansard that I brought 7 different questions asking the chairperson of the Kenya National Disabled Fund of Kenya to appear before Parliament and explain to us how are they being oversighted and where are the proceeds of their multi-billion assets that they own. 7 different ones. But it's a very sensitive matter because the chairperson of National Disabled Fund of Kenya is Christina Pratt, who is the sister to the president. You know? And it has been very tricky for us. I was nominated by Jubilee. President Uhuru Kenyatta, to be specific, who really loved me so much. But you can imagine this is his sister that I'm summoning to Parliament. And I have severally done it. And it have not been forthcoming. They have not been able, they never appeared. But I have asked questions because that's the channel.
Yeah.
Again, on the amendment of the law, currently, if you know, and it is in the Hansard, it is in the public domain, that the Person with Disability Act of 2003 have pushed it to be amended. It is now a bill, Person with Disability Bill. And we had gone to even the 3rd reading. But because of conflict of interest again, of this particular fund, that we wanted to amalgamate it with National Council for Persons with Disability, it is in that particular bill.
Yeah.
I think that is why the bill, after 3rd reading,
yes,
it was supposed to go to Senate. I don't know where it is now. Kimunya just played with it, just around here and whatever, and it never moved to anywhere. So I have tried my level best.
Okay.
Dear friend,
Okay.
I have tried.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, we have got a few days to go to the polls, but then everything is, put in place by the IBC and the relevant bodies. PWDs form a huge chunk of voters in this country. Perhaps you have got exact numbers.
Yes.
Have they been well catered for so that they take part in this election without any hitches?
Perfect. We have met as leaders of persons with disability with IABC, with Chepugati. We have talked about accessibility in the polling centers. We have talked about accessibility to the information, which we wanted to be on Braille, but we decided since time was not enough, again, it will have costed more in terms of billion to Braille every polling paper, every paper. It will be a bit difficult. That's why we shelved the issue of Brailing. But in terms of what is done and how persons with disability will be able to vote, we are satisfied. In Kenya, we have 2 million Kenyans with disability registered as voters.
2 million
we
is
have
a
a
big
total
number.
population of 6.5 million, but others are children, others are maybe mentally, they may not be able to vote in one way or the other. But those who are registered are 2 million. And for us, we are the 43rd tribe of Kenya. Our challenges are the same. We will vote as a bloc, and they know whom they will vote for. They know whom they sat with in race course and discuss the economic model of the disability charter. And those are the things that I have enumerated on what actually person with disability needed to be done. And I have not even finished. The issue of sports was also captured in that disability charter of Kenya Kwanza. The issue of provision of factor concentrate to those with hemophilia. You know, those people with hemophilia eventually become person with disability. And currently a factor concentrate that require as a life saving so that they don't bleed to death need is actually 50,000, some are 80,000. So meaning if you have a small bruise as a person with hemophilia, you need 80,000 to save your life. Some will need even 6 vials. That means they will need close to 400,000 Kenya shillings to save their life. So we have said that that one which should also be covered by NHIF.
2 million.
Today I will be meeting with the world president of World Hemophilia Association, so that we can discuss, because they give us 2 billion yearly to cater for those with hemophilia.
Yes.
So there is a lot that we discussed.
You talked very well about PWDs, and you know, when it comes to an election, it's a sensitive matter that it's in the democratic space. That PWD should also have that space. But Mheshimiwa, getting your final word, because I'm told we are running out of time now. Briefly, in the Azimio la Umoja, Chebukati, there was that nomination list which was given to the IEBC for nominations, and they turned it back. Apparently, people with disability, gender balance was a factor. As Azimio, are you considering having in your government, so to speak, PWDs, and at what percent?
Well, they will be there, but I cannot talk about the percentage right now, but they will be there. And when he says 2 million voters of PWDs will vote for one side, it is not true, because we are also interacting with them. Like, for example, the chairman of PWDs, he is with us. He is with us, and he interacts with us, Mio. So whatever problems they have, he talked to us, Mio, and the way forward. So it's not true to say that they vote as a block to one side.
Yeah,
they will be on both sides.
No, I'm saying 95%.
No. Just like Kenyans, the Kenyans will not be on one side. So we are also interacting. Azimio is also interacting with them.
Yeah,
and they have told us exactly their problems, which are being addressed, and they will be addressed.
Okay.
The issue of preparedness, you know. What he's saying about preparedness for his group is also what other people are asking about, even other Kenyans, other citizens, whether Chebukati is prepared to carry out free and fair elections. That is still an issue that is going. Even the media also, when they call Chebukati, they are being asked those questions once again and again, but still. Even the media are not satisfied. There's some things that are not right. And for me, I would not like to see something that happened in 2007, where the chairman put this country into.
Kindly have that as your closing remark.
Yes.
Yes.
Where we had Nani Kevuito plunge this country into chaos by not being very prepared and making very bad comments at the end. So if Chebukati and his group are not properly prepared, we can have a problem at the end. So they need to up their game, tell Kenyans exactly what is happening, because, for example, the case of Venezuelans who came here, it is still a dark issue. Nobody knows exactly what happened and how they came in without IBC knowing that they were coming that time and being cleared by them. And then one thing that I noted from the deputy president, and I'm very happy, when he was asked about acceptance of the results, he said something which contradicts himself. He said he's ready to accept, and he has been telling Raila, accept when you lose. Then he said, so is there no other way? He said, yes, if I find constitutionally, if I find the results are not the way, or there are some faults,
he goes to court.
I can go to court. So when you go to court, it means you have not accepted the results.
Okay, we are running out of time.
Yeah, so it means that even himself, there can come a time when he cannot be able to accept results.
Okay.
So not being able to accept results is a constitutional matter, and that's why the Supreme Court is there.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa Sakong, 20 seconds, kindly.
First of all, I want to say that we have confidence with IBC as person with disability, 100%. We have interacted with them. They have shown us how we will access all polling stations and how we will be assisted. There are people who are ready to assist those who may need any assistance without any biasness. So we are confident with it. The other issue is that as Kenya Kwanza, we will accept the outcome of the results. We have a track record of accepting. The other side of Azimio have a track record of never accepting the outcome of the results, the outcome of election results.
Okay.
Dating back 1997, 2007, 2013, 2017. So they have a track record. So that's why we are insisting that they should accept this time round. Lastly, person with disability. I've given you a signal. You know where your vote will be. It will be in Kenya.
All right. Okay. That is a perfect way to stop that discussion. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making it in studio, and even you as a viewer for your valid company. We had David Sankok, Honorable David Sankok, who is a nominated member of parliament, and Honorable Engineer Joshua Toro, who is a former assistant minister, roads and public works and housing. That is way back when in the Grand Coalition government.
No, Kibaki.
Kibaki's government.
The first Kibaki government.
Thank you for the correction. All right. So that's where we wrap it up. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We are taking a break, but GMK still continues after this. Good morning.
Finally, the wait is over. The Sundowner Sunset date is back. Saturday, 30th July 2022. The Grand Collabo, the gorgeous Catherine Donye and the wicked weekend man John Obongo Jr. together on one stage for the first time.
Meanwhile, some country.
Plus, Sir Elvis performing your favorite country hits live. All roads lead to the park in Kitengela, the land of Choma, for music, dance, food, drink, and so much fun. The Sundowner Sunset date, the Grand Collabo. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th July 2022. Tickets cost 500 shillings at the gate.
I don't want Adrian to be involved in my daughter's life again. Never again.
Adrian is the father of Valentina.
For your loyalty to Camilo? Must have you take away my daughter? Must you keep away your daughter from
Yes,
her real
I know
father?
that. If it's the office that you went to, then why is your hair all wet?
Adrian is here?
Yes, sweetheart.
Is that true, Mommy?
Yes, my love.
I'm the father of Valentina. But I can't take her away from her mom.
Born in March 1961, Cyrus Jirongo attended Mangu High School between 1978 and 1981, and 10 years later became the chairman of Kenyan football club AFC Leopards. Jirongo was only 31 years of age when he teamed up with the likes of Sam Nyamweya, Fred Kiptanui, and current Deputy President William Ruto, among others, to start the Youth for KANU 92, commonly known as YK 92, the youth movement that supported President Daniel Arap Moi's re-election bid in 1992, following the return of multipartyism. Despite the lobby group's influence in the re-election of President Daniel Arap Moi in 1992, it arguably became politically overzealous. For instance, Jirongo called for the resignation of Professor George Saitoti, which coincided with a walkout from Parliament by opposition members of Parliament in protest against the then Vice President and Minister for Planning and National Development. Jirongo's goose was already cooked. Moi claimed the organization had joined the opposition to undermine his presidency, instead choosing to defend his Vice President, Professor George Saitoti. Jirongo's path to redemption through establishing a power base in Western Kenya would not last long, as he found himself on the wrong side of President Moi, eventually getting detained over possession of unlicensed guns after his houses were raided in search of firearms. Jirongo would become politically relevant once again in 1997 when he was elected Member of Parliament for Lugari constituency. 6 months into his post, he announced plans to run for the presidency in the 2002 general election. In November 2001, Moi announced a major cabinet reshuffle as he appeared to try to change the perception of KANU, bringing in youthful faces in place of the old guard. Jirongo, together with current President Uhuru Kenyatta, were among those who benefited from the changes. Jirongo was appointed Minister for Rural Development, formerly a department within the Ministry of Planning and National Development. After KANU's rule came to an end in the 2002 general election, Jirongo formed the Kenya Africa Democratic Development Union KADU, through which he reclaimed the Lugari parliamentary seat that he had lost in 2002. In his bid to become Kenya's fourth president, Jirongo unsuccessfully vied for the Kakamega senatorial seat in 2013, losing to the eventual winner, Dr. Boni Halwale. In the 2017 general election, Jirongo vied for the presidency under the United Democratic Party. He garnered approximately 11,000 votes, which was 0.07% of the total presidential votes. However, with a repeat election being held after President Uhuru Kenyatta's win was contested in the Supreme Court, Jirongo managed 37,791 votes.
Being ranked as being rated as the city to watch, and also being ranked at 145th most expensive city to live in. Just how much has the state done in respect to its housing agenda, and how expensive or affordable is it to either construct or own a home in this country? This is what you're set to discuss at least at this hour with my guest, that is George Mburu, who is the CEO of Mizizi Africa Limited. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Now, I just want us to broach this discussion from demystifying some myths that are already out here before we get to the details of this. And right now, as it stands, is that there's a craze, particularly amongst young people, to just either own a home or construct a house, even though at that point or in that moment, they don't really need to or really want to, but because of recognition, status, to feel appreciated in the society. Is that the case?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here. One thing that you will notice is that affordable housing or housing is a basic need. And in the basic needs, we normally know that we learned in the lower primary school, it is food, shelter, and clothing. That is a basic need. And shelter is basically housing. So housing is a need that is has been put behind the scenes, and it has been seen to be like it's a want. And a want is something that maybe you have for luxury, for recognition, as you have stated, but a need is something that you need for your survival And it is something that we need as a country to stabilize our economy. And when you look at housing, affordable housing, to be specific, was considered to be one of the big 4 agendas by the Jubilee administration.
Yes.
And this was done after looking at the vision that we have as a country, which is Vision 2030. When you look at the blueprint of the Vision 2030, and you also look at the people who came up with the blueprint, you will be able to see where as a country we should be able to go, and housing is one of it, and it also touches on all the other spheres. If you look at for example, the big 4 agendas, we have housing, we have agriculture, we have manufacturing, which comes with the employment, and we also have healthcare. And all these things are interlinked. Because, for example, you look at an example of a home that this is a normal standard home that has a wife, a husband, and children, let's say 2-3 children, and they have a home. Those people, for sure, you consider them to be people who are stable. Why? Because already their basic needs have been met. And such a person, let's say, for example, is the husband. That husband is able to have peace of mind because there is no rent that they are paying. They're able to go out of their way and create now the other needs. They're able to buy a good car, they're able to educate the children, they're able to take health matters of their children to the hospitals and such things. And so you find that the housing need is a basic need, and it is something that we need to address more. And there is a statistic that was done that 2 million houses were needed by the time the agendas were being drawn. 2 million houses were needed. And each and every year, because of the increase in population, 200,000 units are needed. So you see, with the deficit of 2 million, if that you increase 200,000 each and every year, you combine all that, you see the deficit of houses. And we are just talking about a basic house, a house whereby you have water, you have electricity, you have a latrine inside there, just a basic house that has security. At least somebody is able to sleep comfortably. Very basic. It doesn't have to be so complicated. But now, after you have met all those needs, you're able now to go the extra mile and meet now the needs of the wants. Good living and such.
Now, well said. I mean, also just looking at what you've said, George, let me just pick your mind on basically also what is happening, because as you're also establishing, it could be a basic need, and we agree just also from what you've mentioned, but also we cannot be devoid of the fact that it's also a craze, particularly amongst the young folk. But also, when you look at our culture, particularly as Africans, we always have this narrative that for the sons, they need to go back to the village and ensure they build a house. But you again understand that a good number of them don't even live there. Either they live in the city or abroad. Is that a good investment?
Thank you very much. And the craze that you have mentioned is a good craze, because it's a good thing. It's a good thing, because like for example, we as Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, we normally encourage, once you have your basic house, that is not the end. You need to have now another house which you can use as a form of business. Don't just look at it so that you can be seen. You have a proper plan. It's not for showing off. It's not so that you can get recognition. It is part of your plan. And like we normally encourage in Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, once you have gotten your first house, now you have met your basic needs. That is not the end. You need to have now an extra house which you can use as a form of income. And by that I mean, that house, you can be letting it out, and you get a rental income at the end of the month. You can decide to resell. You resell it after it is constructed. For example, we do off-plan. You come by the time you are starting the construction. By the time you are done with the construction, you have a ready house and you have a title. That ready house can get a buyer very fast, because that buyer can go and be given a loan, a mortgage or something. Then that house, you can also use it in the Airbnb. Like for example, we have seen the Airbnb is driving very well, and it is driving all over. It's a booming business. And the reason why it is booming is, for example, you have a family, as you have said, who stay in town, let's say in Nairobi or in Mombasa or any other town, but they need to go back at home. We have others who are living in the diaspora. At the end of the year or once in a while, they need to go back to their rural home to go and see their parents and their relatives. But you find that they had not constructed a house, or the house that they had constructed when they were young people, it is just a small house which cannot accommodate now a wife and children. So what do? And again, they can't go to sleep to the parents' house. They need to look for a house that is nearby, and not buy everything. They do not have to burn every coin that they have saved to come and visit their parents and buy furniture and all those things. They need a house that is furnished. They need a house that is ready, a house that is good. And again, you'll find they will want to be around. So you'll find somebody who has constructed a house in their village, and a very nice one, has furnished. They can either have it as a rental income, but again they can put it in the Airbnb, and Airbnb are doing so well. And nowadays, because as you have correctly put, people are in town, people are out of the country, the people are working, but they do not have somewhere they can go back. So the encouragement here is, first of all, you can either start by getting the one for giving you an extra income, then you look at your own, but at the end of the day, you need to have at least two. Have your own, then have another one that can be generating income, and that is passive income, because passive income, you do not have to be there. And if the trend continues and you do that over and over and over again, those are the kind of people now, by the time they are retiring, these are the people that we are looking up to, and they are very stable. They can be able to entertain their grandchildren because they have the resources. And like others who maybe who did not save or use that route, and even now their children are running away. They do not want to go and visit. The grandchildren do not want to go and visit. And that is when you find somebody is aging, they are complaining, they have been left by their loved ones, which is not a good thing still, because you also need to look at the vulnerables. Yeah, so if we make the right decisions from the onset, as young as you are, that is the way to go, and your future will definitely be bright. Yeah.
And you've just read my mind, because I was about to ask you then, which is the best place to start from? Is it that constructing your own house where you can live with your family, or for business purposes? And just as you mentioned, that it's good enough for proper investment. Start with what can bring you income, because at the end of the day, it's the process that you might use now to actually construct the home for living. So for those that do it vice versa, is it something that needs to be corrected as we move on?
Sure, thank you very much. You will notice that the first doesn't always have to be so good. For example, a young man, for example, who has come from primary school, like in some societies, they're expected to go through initiation, right? And they do not have to, they can't stay actually in their parents' house. They have to have a small cubicle with only 2 rooms. At that particular time, it is sufficient, because you do not have a family. So what I can encourage, when you are doing your own house, the house that you are living, it doesn't have to be so magnificent, what's that word? It doesn't have to be all that. It just needs to cater for your needs.
Something simple.
Yeah, something simple. You do not have to impress people to talk about you. You build a very big house. Have it simple, as long as it is catering for your need. Then you can, if you have an extra income, invest in something that can be generating you income, and that money that will be generating from that passive income is what now will enable you build a proper house. And that proper house, by the time now you are getting to a level, you have a wife, you have children, you are now a family, you'll also upgrade with the time. So the encouragement here, when you are young and you have the means, it is better you invest. Just live small, do not live large, just live within, actually below your means, live below your means.
Not within your means.
Yeah, if you are a young person, live below your means. Now, once you are old and you have established yourself, you can live anyhow you want.
Now you can live above
you can live above your limit. Yeah, actually, people who have the means, they have passive incomes, they have money. They're the people who now we try to emulate. And by so doing, we find that we are living above our means, and we are living to please other people, not for ourselves, which is very wrong. But if you live below your means, especially when you are a young person, if you can afford a 15,000 house, don't live in a 10,000 house. You can afford 10,000 house, live in a 5,005. Then these extra shillings, put them for saving, to have to invest them in something that you can be getting a passive income. Then by the time now you become, you have more responsibilities, you have children, you have bills to settle. Again, you have now more sources of income, and you are more stable.
Okay, well said. Now, even as we momentarily continue the conversation, we talk about cost as we move forward. But just let me backtrack a bit and move to the housing and where we are even as a country in respect to the affordable housing, knowing fully well that this was one of the ideas, as you've mentioned, for the outgoing government in 2017 as they rolled out the Big Four agenda. And this was about 500,000 units. But at least as it stands, even just as of last year, September, about 2,235 houses is what they had constructed and even occupied. When you look at the margins, there's really quite a huge deficit to be filled. And this is also in line with the Vision 2030 when you talked about the blueprint therein. So as we talk about the issue of housing in this country, and as you've mentioned also, Nairobi is one of those cities that is being looked at in terms of just living in this space. Where are we in that sense? Is it a far-fetched idea? It was a good idea, but is it really far-fetched?
Yeah, thank you very much. You will realize that the need that was brought online to the limelight by affordable housing was brought to the limelight because of the need and the crisis that is there. Because once a country has a deficit of over 2 million houses, what that means is that if you look at 2 million houses, you multiply by a standard family maybe has 5 people. We are talking of 2 million people times 5, that is 10 million. So we are talking of over 10 million people who should ideally be housed. They are not housed. So it brings a crisis. And each and every year, 200,000 units, because of the increase in population, people are growing, people are getting families, the crisis continues. So if this crisis, we do not take care of it, or we push it aside and we say, this agenda is not possible, let us push it aside, it means we are pushing aside a crisis which will continue to be a crisis. And once a crisis has gotten to the peak, now people have to react, and you will find that is when now the revolutions come. That is when you find now even people going to State House to, like it happened in the Sri Lanka, people now they want to take charge because they have been so much pressed that they can't take it anymore. So the thing that we need to do is learn from the lessons that we learned from the Jubilee administration. For sure, the Jubilee administration did not manage to hit the target, which is 500,000 units by the time they finished their term, and they did a small percentage. But now what we need to do is go and pick lessons. We pick lessons from this big dream, and we see why was it not able to achieve whatever it had set to achieve, and what are the lessons we can pick, and we pick those lessons. We build now from what they failed. And one thing that we can encourage, and we as private developers like Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, we have seen it is something that people need. Because each and every time customers are coming to us with this problem, and you have heard of companies that have failed, and new companies are coming up, and still they are getting buyers. Why? Because there is a need that needs to be met, and somebody has to do it. So what I can encourage maybe the administration that will come on board, from whatever we have learned as private developers, is that private developers are very crucial in this agenda. It is not an agenda that the government will say, we will do it. Because as a government, the work of our government is to give an enabling environment, is to give policies that can guide the private players in how they are going to work, in putting a level playing ground, ensuring that we do not have rogue developers, ensuring that, especially we need to look at the first-time homeowners, because the first house, that is where there's a big problem. First-time homeowners, somebody who needs their first, second house, third house, fourth house, that is no longer a need, that is a want. But for people who they need, and we are not talking about the small cubicle, we are talking of somebody who is working in town, like you have mentioned, Nairobi is the town to watch, and this is because there are so many people who are educated, there are opportunities here, and if we create security within Nairobi, Nairobi and even our country, we are able to attract even foreign investors in our country. If we look at security, and how do we get security? We have people who are at least a bit stable. They can meet their basic need: food, shelter, and clothing. So if we look at helping the young people and having the people who want their first homes, their first homes, and there was a bill sometimes back in the parliament, and that is a very crucial bill that needs to come back to the house ASAP, and there also needs to be private public participation in that bill, so that we can look at it, all of us, including the private developers who have been left out. And you'll be surprised, like there's the international financiers who are willing to give money to people who need homes as a mortgage at only 7%. But that one somehow never came into being. So even international partners are willing to help that agenda, especially for the first-time homeowners. Yeah.
And you've mentioned the first-time homeowners quite a number of times, and I want us to stick there a bit, even as we try to tie it down with the cost. And you know that anytime we talk about construction or building, the issue of cost never misses in someone's mind. And no, it's not a cheap thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do as well. And also, you cannot forget the kind of levies attached to construction. I mean, it was just in 2016 where the government had removed the NEMA fees, so to speak, but now last year that was reintroduced amongst a host of different other fees and levies that one needs to pay just before they can begin, or even as they continue constructing. I want you to talk to us about the cost in respect to these fees and levies, and why in the first place they are important.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. And for sure, I have mentioned the first-time homeowners, because that is where there is the need. For a person who wants a second house, that is a want. As much as it may be earning you an extra income, it is a want, but the basic is your first. Maybe you can have your basic, your first house, we set a standard that, and this one should also include when we are doing the taxes. We set a standard. It may be standard for people who are beginning, and a different standard for people who now want it as a need. And for the first-time homeowners, we can try and get rid of all the taxes. The taxes, yes, they are important because the government, again, needs revenue to run its activity. It's good. But if we can safeguard the first-time homeowners, and even basically, generally, if you can safeguard the person on the lowest cadre, the consumer, if you can be able to protect the consumer, and the consumer who needs that product or service as a need. We differentiate between a need and a want. And the person who has a need is somebody who has a family. You have gotten to the age of, for example, 35. You are now becoming, you are no longer a youth. You need help. You need your family settled. You need to have a home. That is where now the government can have very proper policies for such a person. We need, as a government, to do ABCD. You'll be surprised now if you set now a higher standard for people who want their second house. They can actually pay some more money. The one who needs the first one, you make it absolutely easy. You make it almost free.
But if you're saying that, and you've just earlier on said that it is important for the government to also generate income through these levies and fees, so then how does the government do this, or does it rely on the second-time owners?
Good. The second-time homeowners, the person now who is stable, they have the peace of mind. And for example, there is a tax also that has been introduced, apart from now the NEMA and the other NTA and what have you. There is another levy which is called like capital gain. Capital gain, which is something somebody pays, is a tax you pay once you have sold, let's say, a house. You had bought a house, you are selling it. we give the private developers the headlights to be the front leaders. Then we give them the means. For example, you can be able to tell this is somebody who has another house. So this is somebody who is doing this as a one, because the government has all that. So that when you are handling a second-time buyer and somebody who is reselling, so that they can make money, we're able to know, and we make that differentiate the two, then we encourage. And you will be surprised, because like for example, Rasmus Africa Homes Limited, we have people, they have bought home but they want to resell. They want to resell and make some money, isn't it? If we can have those people to be so many, you'll find that those people who are selling their second home will assist those who are buying their first, because they will not make so much margin. They make a small margin. Also, the government makes a small margin. But by extension, we have more people who are paying for it. You get the point?
Yeah, and so in that way it becomes a win-win for both.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm getting for you is that it's an issue of policy and trying to make it easy for Kenyans, particularly for first-time home owners. But also, George, we can laud the state, because just as of the last concluded national event, that is the Jamhuri Day celebration, the president announced a 15% electricity tariff reduction, whereby it's supposed to take place in 2 phases. That was from last year, December, the second phase to take place in March of this year. When you look at what at least the state is doing in respect to that, what is the impact of this when it comes to either owning, constructing, or buying a house?
So thank you very much. And as I stated, we need to pick up from what the previous government had started, the Jubilee administration. And for example, the affordable housing, we look at what did not work and what worked, so that we can build from that. Then we also involve the private players like us, Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, who have also experienced it and have either we are continuing to do well, or others have failed. We see also what happened for them to fail. And again, for example, like the issue of electricity, which is something very good, that is encouraged that every person gets electricity. And there are also the issue of fuel, the cautioning of people. It's very commendable to the government. But that is not all. Once you have eaten and you are full, so they've done
at least something.
Yes, once you have eaten and you are full, you need a glass of water. Yeah, so because you are full, you can't say you won't take a glass of water. So let's now take it to a notch higher. We look at, for example, these levies that are put. We avoid putting levies on blanket, as a blanket. For example, the issue of fuel. The issue of fuel, if you are fueling a car, which is a private, it is the same. What I can encourage, it is the cost will be the same. And the same cost for somebody who is buying fuel to do the electricity, still the same. So you find like this fuel has been taxed, all of it generally, and it is not helping everybody in equal measures. So what I can encourage, let's say for example the fuel levy. Let's remove all taxes from fuel.
Is that even practical?
For example, I'm coming there. I'm coming there. We remove all the taxes in fuel, so that for somebody who is buying, let's say, kerosene, that is somebody who is using that for cooking. They pay for free. Kenya Power or Kengen, whichever manufactures the electricity, they need diesel. That diesel, they buy it without paying any tax. It helps manufacture electricity almost for free. Then, for example, we have seen the expressway. We have toll stations. For people who now need the roads, for example, who are using the roads, you have diesel, you have petrol. Those people, they pay the levy at that point. And that levy, again, is not collected in cash. We have the accounts that money is channeled. So, for example, if you are somebody, you are traveling, and mostly maybe, let's say you are traveling for business, you pay maybe money that you are coming from Nakuru to Nairobi. You pay some extra money that goes to to assist road maintenance, to bring in other needs. You'll find that the person that is at the lowest level is cautioned, because they are getting that almost for free. People who are using, let's say, for example, gas, that one also is levied. Or if you need, for somebody who has a 13 kg, put the tax there. If you look at the people who are at the lowest level, we cater for that need. You'll see that in terms of security, because there will be no people who are not jobless, they will be catered, insecurity will be good. We'll be able to assist all these other channels. If you assist the basic one, the basic needs, food, shelter, clothing. And when we are talking of food, shelter and clothing, we are not talking about fashion, we are not talking about good house that luxurious, we are not talking basic.
Okay, I hear you. Now, as you wind down, George, I'd just like to get your closing remarks, even as you talk about perhaps alternatives, because I mean, we can't really exhaust the issue of costs. It's a very pertinent issue when you talk about housing, and also when you look at the cost even of materials right now, it has been on an upward trend. Look at the cement, the steel, and so forth. So then, can we use alternative forms of material as we think of construction and building?
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very quickly, you'll find that Kenya and Africa, we are blessed to have natural resources. We have things like stones, natural stones in our quarries. We have ballast in our rivers, that we can be manufactured. We have sand that is in the, you can find it in the river, like free. We have natural resources that are here for free. Now what we need to do is how to harvest them. For example, you will find ballast. It comes from stones that we have here, but we need that machine for crushing. If we can be able to get those machines, we import those machines, we get people to come and train people so that we can be able to know how to use those machines. You will find, and again you have put the cost of transportation to be very low. You will find that,
as you've mentioned earlier.
Yes, the materials that we have locally, we'll be able to add value to them. If it's a machine for crushing, what we need are these machines that are used in other countries, because the natural resources are here. The natural resources are taken from here, they are taken for processing to other parts, they are sold to us at a very exorbitant price. So if we can be able to get those machines, get the know-how on how to operate those machines, use our natural resources without taking them there for processing and bringing them back at a very high price, if we do that, actually, even the people, the international communities, within no time they'll be looking up to us to give them aid, because we have used our natural things, like let's say stones for making ballast, cement. We have if we have those companies manufacture cement, which is we just need maybe to import a very small component just to finish that chemistry. Yeah, but we have most of the things. It's only that our resources are not well utilized, and you find people who should be actually be getting aid from us are giving us aid. Why? They are coming, taking the natural resource, go process, come sell it back exorbitantly. So at the end of the day, we are the losers.
We are the losers at the end of the day. And also, I mean, when you look at the technologies available there, out there, George, also in terms of just trying to see how we can reduce the cost of construction, because at the end of the day, we have to meet this affordable housing agenda. We have to meet the Vision 2030, so to speak, when it comes to housing. The precast kind of technology, does it in any way at least reduce cost? And in what way does it do so?
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I have interacted with the precasts, and they are good, and they are quality. And this is because...
First, what form of technology is this? Just for viewers to understand what exactly you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, for example, we have a machine. What we need to do is to import those machines. It's not to import the precasts. You'll be surprised. We import the precasts as opposed to importing the machines to come and make the precasts here. So you find somebody comes, and the precast we are talking about is something very simple. It is mixing sand and mixing cement and pressing it using a certain machine, and it brings that precast out. Something so simple. But you find the thing that is so simple, it is complicated, that this precast has to be imported. By so doing, we are taking our currency, the foreign currencies reserves that we have few here, we are taking to buy things that we should have made here, and not have to take our dollars or our foreign currencies out.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is import these things that are making these fabricated, these you have called them?
The precast.
Precasts.
Yes.
Precasts are simply things that are made from what we have, but these things are taken gone and made with a machine that we can import and use it here. Like for example, as Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, and we are happy with the government because they have those machines and they have displayed them in the agricultural shows, Like recently we were in an expo and we were able to see it, and it is from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Housing and Construction and Roads, and for sure those are the kind of information we need to pass over now to people, because people don't have that information. People just know precast. Using precast is cheaper. They do
and
not
actually
know.
People know that using precast is cheap and don't understand what exactly that
They don't
means.
understand. And it is something that has only been made. Like for example, the stone that I was talking about that interacted, it is made in such a way that it is there are two places. One, it is pressed, it is able to fit in a fixed hapo. You don't need to use much cement. Yeah, so that's a precast stone, a stone that has been set to reduce an extra cost like cement and what have you, and yeah, it makes our work easier, makes it cheaper. But if you can have it here, those machines,
it even
here,
makes it better.
Much better. You can't even compare.
Okay. Thank you so much, George. That was informative. At least now we understand what exactly this means in terms of construction, where we are as a country as it pertains to affordable housing, and what more we need to do at least to bridge that gap so that now it can become a reality. We don't just keep talking about it, but it now becomes a reality.
Very true.
Asante sana.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Yeah, and I look forward to more.
Okay.
Asante.
Right, that has been George Mburu, CEO Mizizi Africa Limited, of course, talking to us about the high cost of building and the housing agenda and where we are as a country as it pertains to affordable housing and the housing agenda. I'm Doreen Arange Okello on behalf of the entire team. Asante sana. We'll do this again tomorrow. Good morning.
Kitwek FM, Kegosin.
My lady, are you all right? How did you know her ladyship was living here?
Ladyship?
Right. This is Prince Genova's lady here.
Why would you go to see her? You best not forget. She's carrying the prince's baby.
He almost died while in battle. And he's been working since getting back. He wouldn't notice that.
Almost died?
Introducing the undisputed king of local country, Sir Elvis.
Yeah, get down, turn around, go to town, boot, scoot, boogie.